Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's very special topic of PTSD awareness. My name is XDelicious Games, and today I have a very special group of folks here with us today. I have AmusedHobbz, OGzlabs, and Gxuiced with us. So I want to thank you guys for joining us today. For some folks that are new here, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves, kind of let the community know who you are and kind of some of your background, and then we'll get started in today's topic. Also, as a reminder to chat, if you guys have any questions during our time while we're talking, please feel free to put it in chat, and our moderators will get it to our hosts to ask. So to start us off, AmusedHobbz, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, X. I appreciate you having me here for this again today. My name is AmusedHobbz. I am an affiliate on Twitch. I have been affiliated for a little bit over 6 months now. I'm also active duty of Navy, going on 13 years active service. And this is something that I think is going to bring a lot of really good information and something that needs to be discussed. So very excited about today's topic.
Thanks, Hobbs. OG, if you'd like to go next.
Yeah, I'm my name is OGzlabs. I'm an older gamer, um, an affiliate on Twitch. I am a huge supporter of veteran services. I think we owe a debt of gratitude to all active and past military for their sacrifices to allow us to do what we're doing today. To speak our minds, to protest, to praise. And I'm not in the military. I was a first responder for a little while. Greatest job I ever could have had. Just want to say a shout out here to Gxuiced, to Hobbz, XDelicious. Thanks for your service, for what you've given this country, the sacrifices you've made. We are truly indebted, and with that, I'll pass it on.
Thanks, OG. And then Juiced, if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
What's up, everybody? My name is Juiced. Some of you probably know me as Tyler or Ty, just whatever you will feel like calling me. I've been a Twitch affiliate for about a month now, maybe, give or take, not too long. I am currently active duty Navy. I'm a PR, parachute rigger, for those of you who don't know. I've been in for like a year now, like just under a year. So I'm kind of new to the game, but I have learned an extreme amount of different things, and I've kind of had a different perspective on life within this past year. Just seeing the things that I do and just knowing the things that I do. And I'm extremely blessed that I was given the opportunity to talk with these two great gentlemen on this show today.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an honor to have all you guys here. And so, in case if you guys don't know, my name is XDelicious. I'm the host of Talkcast. Here with our permanent resident Hobbs. I'm a vet and did 8 years in the Air Force, but now I do contracting on the outside. So I want to welcome everyone, and again, thank you guys for joining us today. So today is a little bit different of a topic. So kind of bringing post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, kind of just giving some awareness and some light to it. Some people might not be familiar with what it is. So PTSD, um, can come from a different variety of things. Whether it's witnessing or experiencing a traumatic event, uh, such as combat related stresses while in the military, emotional loss, witnessing like a terrorist attack, or or even something uh, as severe as like a natural disaster, or a serious accident that happened. There's many different situations on how PTSD can occur in individuals. Um, so while our focus today is on the military aspect side of it, there's also a civilian side of it as well. So we take that into account too. So it's not just the military that suffers from PTSD. It's also the civilian side as well. So to kind of, be able to help with, some instances of, individuals going through PTSD, while you're active duty, there are some services, while you're in that help out. A lot of times, as vets or as active duty are transitioning into civilian life, sometimes those services aren't really explained, um, whether that's due to you know, leadership in place not making sure that those individuals know that these programs are available, or if it's just the process that's not implemented in place. So, for example, when I was transitioning out, they had started incorporating more of that instance of, hey, if you guys, had a specific, instance while you guys were in, here are some programs outside that, that the VA would offer to kind of help with. Um, and so even in the military now, I think they still have the Transition Assistance Program, or TAP. So this is actually a really good program, and if there's any active duty that are looking to go out, hopefully your command or leadership has kind of signed you up for that. It brings a lot of light to being able to, one, if you are currently seeing someone for PTSD or any issues that you have currently right now, they'll provide the programs on the outside with the VA to help you with that transition and to automatically continue being seen. Also, any medical programs. There's also internships programs that are available through the TAP. Like if you're looking for to continue your career uh, that you did in the military outside, like as a contractor or federal employee. There's also programs if you were hurt during your time in service to ensure that all your medical records are transferred over to the VA. Excuse me. To be able to look at uh, sorry, uh, doing a medical evaluation for to provide disability compensation. So like if you had you know like if you injured your shoulder or your knees or your back, um, they'd be able to give you some sort of compensation for that time, and that's through the VA as well. And then also being able to set up um, you know being medically seen as well. So like if you need continued support after, the VA also uh, does appointments and stuff like that to continue that treatment as well. So with that,
Yeah,
oh,
and
go ahead, Hobbs.
just real quick on what X is saying, it's one of those things that it's kind of startling to me that it took so many years to start addressing, what we do with service members after their service. And it's really, I mean, it's incredible. Like I said, I'm coming up on 13 years, and what I've seen from the time I came in, watching guys get ready to get out. And I mean, I was watching, some of my senior leadership get out in my first couple of years, and they were just like, all right, see ya. And like, okay, bye. And I mean, these guys are just, okay, cool. I did my checkout sheet. I got my medical record, and I'm gone. Like they didn't really have to go through anything. And now I'm watching guys get ready to transition. I actually have one of my chiefs that's getting ready to get out here in the next couple months. And he's 6 months out, and he's already going through his TAPS classes, his virtual courses, scheduling for in-person interviews, his medical reviews, his service record reviews, his awards. Like what they've done in just the small, half of career basically at this point. Um, Seeing the difference in that transition to the veteran civilian side has come a long way with the emphasis they're putting on it. So for sure, it's definitely improving.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely agree because even transitioning out like before, it felt kind of like you were just kicked out the door. Like, okay, well, you're kind of on your own. Like, I don't know what
Yep.
you want us to do about it. Now the programs, you know, uh, make sure that you feel that you're that you still have a family even on the outside. And a lot of times when people got, the boot just pretty much, all right, well, cool, you're out, that leads to a lot of depression and stuff too. So, that's um I think that's more of the focus too, is to make sure that, everyone that's leaving knows that they're not alone, right? So, and depression on the outside, on top of, if you're having PTSD, that makes it, very difficult for someone. And so even being able to, just to talk to someone, have a group of people to still be able to communicate with, that greatly helps out, especially, nowadays, even still now we still have vets that are still committing suicide because they feel that, they don't have anyone, they don't have a group, they don't have a home. So, it's like I said, the TAP program and the different communities and stuff, kind of like what Regiment uh, has. It's bringing everyone together, and I feel that's a great piece, because it brings us up as a whole, and we're able to build with each other, still have that family and that group aspect. So it's nice to
Yeah,
have that home.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
totally like agree with what Hobbs has been saying. Especially coming from somebody who's newer to the scene, I guess I could say, but that like whenever I joined and I was getting checked in a while ago to my first command, they were just letting me know like, hey, like so you get your basic qualifications for your job and that everybody should have. And then, I just been asking around like, yo, like, cause I plan to do 20 years, cause who doesn't want that pension? But, sometimes it's just like, and do I get out after this or what? Because now they have a lot of programs, especially on if you go to like My Navy portal, if you're active duty. And I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but you can literally get civilian qualifications and certifications that exactly match your qualifications for the Navy, just for the civilian
U.S.
side.
Maps.
Yep, that's what it is. Yep,
Yep. So
U.S.
that's our
maps.
U.S. Maps program, and U.S. Maps is actually will actually cross to every branch currently. It's the U.S. military apprenticeship program, and what that does is it takes your day-to-day tasks, all the way from an airman or a third-class petty officer, all the way up to your chief, senior chief, specialty NECs or MOSs. Um, you specifically put in there, hey, like this is my MOS or this is my NEC, and you have to have supervisor, like you have to send it to your supervisor, and they say, hey, yes, this person does need this specific MOS or NEC. They meet the criteria, and you can do anything from, like me, in a more administrative aviation side. Our very first one is computer operator. But you get a no shit US Department of Labor apprenticeship saying, hey, has logged this many hours of being a computer operator and data processor. So you get out and it's like, oh, I don't have any experience in the civilian world, but I have umpteen hours doing data processing and entry. So maybe you got out after 4 years, you don't have your degree yet, you're still working on it, but hey, you're not going to get a very basic minimum wage entry level job, because you could at least get a little more than that, knowing that you do have experience in data processing and entry. For things, like in Juiced's world, they can come out and say, hey, I have experience with aviation life support systems. And he could go work for, like, especially out on the West Coast with, wildfires and forestry services and guys that are working in helicopters and things like that. He can go work on those rigging lines. He could take his experience with that and go work. You've got guys that are like, oh, all I've ever done is work on, up armored Humvees and Bradleys. As a mechanic, what do I do? US maps, diesel engine mechanic certifications, all of these things. So it is, I'm really actually really, really glad you brought that up, because I didn't even think about that today. It's a phenomenal program that does give these guys a leg up going into the civilian world. So it's very, very helpful.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Being able to map your military experience into civilian, it makes it a lot easier too, for especially for like what you were saying, resume writing as well. It's easier to translate, um, and it makes it just a little bit smoother of a process, because sometimes, like, I know even with me, like I get stumbled on words, like trying to figure out how, I'm trying to phrase it because you can't take, well, like for example, in the Air Force, it's called a EPR or, being able to, it's what we use to evaluate our performance. And so taking those bullet style formats and putting it on your resume, sometimes it doesn't translate over well because one, we use a lot of acronyms, and two,
Yes, you
who
do.
yeah, and two, who's gonna use promote now or promote above peers on their resume, so being able to translate.
Already working in a leadership position.
Yeah. So being able to translate that over, it kind of takes some of the stress off.
Sold 62 cupcakes at the command bake sale.
Hey, but you know what? It did it the most efficient out of the entire group, so
Efficiently and effectively sold cupcakes to upper chain of command.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh man.
Oh, gee, it's kind of an inside joke in the military. I want to fill you in on that, and anybody in chat that may not know. So there's a running joke in the military evaluation systems, whether it's Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Space Force, Coast Guard, regardless, Air Force. It doesn't matter. It's one of those things where you have your job, and then what you do extra, and it's always, they call it, they call it your collateral duty balance with your job, right? And it's always a joke, like, oh well, I kick ass, I bust ass, I'm awesome at my job, and I work 1,000 hours a day. But that guy is selling cupcakes and shining the brass's shoes. Why did he get promoted first? So it's always the joke of, well, my eval would have been better if I sold more cupcakes or something like that. So that's why we put that on there. It's, sold 37 cupcakes at the bake sale. Promote him.
Yeah.
Because people saw it. So that's always kind of a running joke with that. Just so you guys are in the loop on that one. Sorry, go
Appreciate
ahead,
that.
X.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting seeing those evals come across for sure. Um
Yeah,
so
I've seen my LPO. I think he's currently writing his eval because he's a PR1. He's up for chief. He's been up for chief for a while now. But he I asked him what he was doing the other day, and he's like, "Oh, I'm writing my." Wow, he said, "I'm documenting my volunteer work," and it's like 4 pages of stuff, and I'm like, "Holy crap, Hero One! Like what's up
Yeah.
with that?" And he's like, "Hey, I've been applying for chief now for about 7, 8 years. I think he's been in for 18, I think." And he's like, "If I don't get it this time, I'm probably just gonna get out."
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like, it's not what do you do for the Navy, or,
It's what you do
and
for
I'm
everyone
just speaking in
else.
my case. Yeah, it's what do you do for the visualization of the Navy
Yep.
as well, as a positive force to your community, and especially, so it does shift a little bit for the Navy, because when you're on a shore-based command, vice forward deployed, they want you to shift. You want more community involvement, things like that, and that's what they want to see. So that's where that is. But yeah, so it's interesting though to see. But honestly, to tie it into the PTSD side, it's actually kind of a nice thing for them to put an emphasis on these community involvements now, because it used to be, almost like the shroud of secrecy with the military. Like, oh, they go to work, they're behind the fence, they do what they do, they come home, and oh, well, thank you for your service, and I have no idea what you guys do. This is almost forcing military members in a way to get out into their community, find things outside of work to de-stress, take your mind off of things. It gets them involved in the community beyond what they may think they should do in the community, doing these events, building camaraderie within your command with your other service members. And it builds those, interpersonal relationships, so that when you do get out, you do have those connections. And I think it honestly, like, a lot of people don't see it as that, but when you really sit back and look at it, like, it does build a lot of bridges for you, for if you do decide to transition out of the military.
yeah, even some of the volunteer work. I had a couple folks that put support groups together for vets to help them with PTSD, and then they opened it up to civilians to join as well. And so now I think they do weekly meetings where they get together and they just talk about stuff, kind of like the struggles that they're going through, and then they kind of build like a battle buddy system, to have people be checked on and like, be able to go out, sometimes being at home kind of trapped in your head, it makes it hard sometimes like to
Yeah.
do daily functions, getting out of bed, remembering to eat. So having that battle buddy system, um, kind of helps them to keep a norm in terms of not a schedule, but okay, I need to remember to eat today. Okay, well, I need to get out of the house. We're gonna go
It's the
do this.
accountability factor, I think, is
Well,
what you're referring to.
yeah, and that as well. It's just being able to make sure that, again, one, if you're in that headspace, of that you're alone, that kind of just ensure that they know that they're not, that they have someone that they can lean on when something gets hard. So
Yep, for sure. And honestly, it's kind of crazy when you look at it, because we talk about it a lot, and we say, you know, military members and veterans suffer from PTSD or some sort of mental health condition, but I mean, we're looking at 30% of active duty and active reserves that are currently dealing with some type of, mental health condition, in some way, shape, or form. And overall, you're looking at over 730,000 members that have experienced these events or are still battling with mental health issues. And like, when you really look at that number, it's staggering. I look at it's a way that I've talked to a lot of my civilian friends about it. I've talked to my family about it. The U.S. military is probably one of the largest corporations in the world. And that's why you see a lot of, mid to upper enlisted or even officers starting their own businesses when they get out, because it's so ingrained in us to run things like a structured business now. Because with the amount of assets that you have in a field at a time, or running around a ship at a time, or moving logistics, especially with the Air Force, logistically, y'all have stuff going in, out, left, right, up, down all the time. So you see these transitions into the business world, but when you look at that number, it's 730,000 plus. Like, that's a lot of people dealing with something. And it's the stigma. OG, you may or may not have heard this, but Juiced, you as well, and X, just yes, if you've heard it. Pardon my French. Suck it the fuck up. Get it done. Suck it up, Buttercup. And that
I,
for so long was the mentality.
yeah, I'll tell you what I've heard a lot is I've heard that and embrace the suck. Actually, on my uniform, on the little tab right here that you can put on this Velcro, it literally
Yep.
says it has a suck meter, and it's just on high all the time. I'm not gonna lie, the shit sucks like 90% of the time. I don't want to go to work most days, but I do like what I do, and you just gotta suck it up, and it kind of gives you like a stronger mentality, in a way, because I come home and I'm just like, even though I'm drained from work, I'm kind of in a better mood than I was when I got off of work from the civilian world. I guess if that makes sense. Maybe I'm
The
just
sense of
weird.
accomplishment.
Yeah, I feel like I've done something,
Mhm.
like I was in line check for a while, and uh,
Oof.
yeah. For those of you who don't know, the line shack basically is I call it the heart of the Navy because in aviation, jets will not launch without the line shack, um, and that can be really draining, and it also really fucking sucks. Uh, but you come home from work that day, and you're like, oh, that was a long day because you're on constant go 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 go. But you come home and you're like, you know what? I launched jets today,
Yep, we got
and they
X
can't.
amount of birds off the line today.
Yep.
This many sorties went out. We got this many training evolutions done. The flight schedule went off without a hitch. Like, when you can come home and know that the training evolutions you were doing, or getting birds off the deck to go out on debt or whatever, it's unmatched. Like, when
And
you're
not
there, oh,
and not only did you launch jets, it's like they got back safely,
mhm.
And as a PR, I work with like pilots' safety equipment, like all of it, like parachutes, oxygen masks, helmets, etc. And that just kind of gives me like a sense of accomplishment, just knowing that I went to school to learn that stuff. And when you're learning about it for the first time, you don't actually see it in action. You're like, oh, that's cool, But then you actually see it happening, and like, I mean, okay, nothing's happening except for them coming back. Let me clear that up. However, that is like a sense of accomplishment that I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, you know what? I'm fine. And I can sleep good tonight.
Yeah, and it's crazy because if you have something going on in your head, we you hear the term a lot, especially in the infantry world, force recon world, especially like special warfare, either flip the switch or focus up. And it's basically whatever you've got, leave it behind. You can't bring that with you. And even, in the aviation world, if your head is not there, you walk into a prop arc, you walk into a rotor arc, stand behind an engine, stand in front of an intake. A lot of bad can happen really, really fast. So addressing what's going on mentally, with our service members is absolutely crucial. As supervisors, as leadership, you have to be able to look at your guys and know something is off in a moment's notice. You can't just go, "Oh, something's off. Well, go get to work." You can't shrug it off. You have to learn how to approach it, how to adjust to that, how to respond, and how to read your guys and girls. You have to know where that line is. And I honestly, like, as I've started to promote, you get into a different mindset, and there is really good training out there for us, in that middle leadership position. I basically call, the middle to senior enlisted middle management, because you've got your junior enlisted, your senior enlisted officers. We're the middle management. We're on the deck every day, looking at these guys, talking to these guys, knowing what's going on with our guys, making sure stuff is getting done. 30%, not a huge percentage. 30% of a million, 30% of, 700,000. That's a lot of people still. And, you don't think about it, but one life that gets lost, regardless of military or civilian, I if there's something you can do to stop it, it's too many. So, you say, "Oh, well, that's 30%. That's maybe one or two people at a whole command." Okay, you lose those two people. That's two people that aren't doing their job. That's someone else that has to pick up what they used to do. Now we have to get new people trained. We have to do this. We have to do that. It affects mission. It affects their families. They lost their family member. You have people who were friends with them on the ship that worked with them every single day, or on the flight line, or in that unit. I mean, it affects so much more than just, okay, we lost one number. And I think that was one of the biggest things, was for a long, long time, you know, veterans, especially transitioning, were looked at as a number. Oh, yep, another veteran committed suicide. Why is that okay? Why is that why for so long was it okay to say, "Oh well, it's a number. Yeah, yeah, it's awful. Oh, okay, let's go on our business." And it's because, a lot of what we said, it's hard to acclimate back to a civilian life. Just like Juice just said. He said the suck is higher because it is go, 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 go. The work is a lot of times more stressful, moments notice, but he comes home feeling more accomplished and like he did something and earned his time off than he ever did as a civilian job. You go away from that and you don't have the it's almost a sense of pride, like, hey, I know what I did today. It was for a cause. Without that to work toward, a lot of people start kind of feeling the loss, the anxiety of that, the depression of, I had a reason to get up every day. I was being held accountable. I was accountable to myself. I was accountable to my shipmates, my fellow airman, my fellow soldier, my fellow Marine. Um, you know, I, Now it's just me. I don't have to get up today. I don't have to go anywhere. And they can very quickly slip into that headspace that, X was talking about, where, why am I getting up today? Why am I eating? Why am I doing this? I don't really have a purpose anymore. And if that starts to creep in, that's where it gets dangerous, because you don't have that sense of accomplishment. You don't have that sense of purpose, and that starts to slip in. And if you add that into someone who maybe has experienced a traumatic situation, be it um, a terrorist attack, a loss of another member of their unit in combat, um, sexual assault. Sexual assault. A lot of people for a long time said, "Hey, sexual assault, it is what it is." Sexual assault is an incredibly traumatic experience for males and females. It goes both ways. It does not discriminate. And, so you've got all these events that can become traumatic that people have compartmentalized because that's what we're meant to do. We have to compartmentalize it. We have to get the job done. We have to get the mission done. Now you're out. You don't have to wake up and go to work the next day. You don't have to accomplish a mission today. So what else do you have to do? Well, I have to sit here and think about all the shit I went through. I have to sit here and think about all the shit I saw, everything I went through, the buddies I've lost, the sexual assaults that occurred. I know a few friends of mine who were on the Cole when the Cole got attacked in 2001. I know two of them. And it's still to this day incredibly difficult. One of them got out as a BM2. It's incredibly difficult for him to even talk about to this day, and we're talking 20 years later. Um, and well, 21 years at this point almost. October will be 21 years, but it's still incredibly difficult for him to talk about. And when the Cole got attacked, so you take that into forward deployed troops. Those traumatic situations are not as few and far between as people think. And people handle them completely differently. That's what makes the world the way it is. That's what makes the military what it is. We're all diverse. We're all completely different. Everyone brings different styles of thinking, different styles of leadership, different styles of upbringings. What may be traumatic to one person may not be to another because person A may have had something happen in their childhood. And now the small thing can trigger what happened in their childhood without person B even being remotely triggered by that. So it's being very mindful of what can cause these PTSD, not a flare up, but events. These PTSD triggered events can happen for a lot of people. And I mean, even tomorrow night, it's 4th of July weekend, there are plenty of veterans who will not go around these fireworks events because it happens. If you lost friends or family or whatever in, an artillery strike or a mortar engagement, do you want to be around mortars firing off? I wouldn't. Hell no. And it's important that if we know someone who has been affected by something like that, and tomorrow night's gonna suck, hey bud, come over. I live nowhere near fireworks. Let's hang out and maybe just have a drink or two. Or if they don't drink, hey, come over. We'll do our own little barbecue. We're not gonna light off any fireworks. This is a safe space. If you have the ability to open that up for someone, absolutely do it. Because there are people that just don't know what they're going to do tomorrow night. And they're going, well, I don't have anywhere to go. So whatever. And they're going to sit there and deal with it on their own because that's what we've been told to do.
I think that
Accountability toward each other is what counts so much of that. Go ahead, Juice.
oh sorry. You were talking earlier about just PTSD affecting people. Let's say you lose one person in a command full of 300, or even it doesn't even have to be more than one, just one person in general. And then you got to replace them. Okay, well, I say replace like they're a number, but I guess in the government's eyes, you are a number. But we know that we're not just a number. But anyways, you have to replace that person. Okay, their family, that the family of the lost loved one, has to deal with the loss, and then the people who are replacing him, he or she has to move their family, and that could affect them. Because for example, my family lives in the entirely on the East Coast, and here I am, 46 something hours away for a drive. You know, so that could be a lot. And I think it's important to note that PTSD doesn't necessarily have to be for service members or veterans. It can affect. I mean, it's just anything traumatic. It could be anything civilian. However, I do think it's highlighted mostly for veterans because especially we're not really actively in war right now, but the Iraq Afghanistan war and stuff like that, and even with the stuff going on in Syria right now. It's not going to stop. The issue's not going to stop.
No.
It's going to be around for a while. And I think
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
I think it's important to note that somebody can have PTSD and not have ever served in the military.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things, that I was talking about is PTSD affects everyone. Like I said, you've got people who may have lost someone that was in the military, and that's stressful to them now. They've gone through that traumatic experience. Sexual assault, military, civilian, doesn't matter. That happens everywhere, all the time. Murder, crimes, car accidents, all of these things can trigger, or can start traumatic events. But it's interesting when I was doing a little more research into this. We spend $792+ million a year on mental health in the military. I didn't realize how much the military
Really?
has started putting. Yep, $792.8 million in 2020 went toward mental
And we
health.
still have numbers like we do now?
We have a
Also,
lot. We have a
yes,
lot less, but
yeah. So the numbers are higher because you got to think people got out before those services were implemented. So if you take into account 2000, right? So in the year 2000, the military only spent $1.6 million on mental health, as opposed to where we're at now. Like the programs and everything are developing. Well, it should have been developing sooner, but um, with trial and error,
yeah,
the military is realizing, okay, this is a huge gap that we're not covering. Like, yeah, we have our mission, but how do we take care of the folks when they come back from that mission? So now
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
where their focus is kind of turning towards now, being able to help. Because so like for example, like I used to do a lot of TSSEI work when I was in. So the stigma behind it was if you go to see a mental health care provider after any of the stuff that you worked on, you had a probability of losing your clearance.
There goes your
So
clearance.
yeah,
Yep.
and then you lose your job. You have to get retrained into something else. So that I mean, now that I'm out, like that stigma goes away. But and as time has changed, that stigma has also changed. Now it's more acceptable to be like, hey, if you're struggling, here this is where you can get talked to. Whereas before it was just a completely different scenario. So, and I think that's a good thing to like what House is saying is that that they're focusing more on it now than they were before.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think how to word this correctly. PC a little bit. Um, they spend too much money training people to retrain, especially when you get to the levels of a lot of these guys that are experiencing PTSD, because a lot of these guys are going through stuff with, um, you send them to jump school, combat schools, dive schools, all these different schools that people are going to. I mean, they're pouring millions of dollars. It's much easier to sit down and say, hey, what's going on? What's up? What do we need to do? How can we help? Get it off your chest. What's going on? Here's how we can deal with this. Make sure they're good. Get them back in the fight. And it's crazy, but things they've been putting in, and it's just, and that's really resiliency training. That's one of the bigger things that they've looked on is resiliency training, how to stay mentally clear, and how to deal with these things as you're going through them. But resiliency training, PTSD, optimism training, how to be optimistic in the worst, like we say, embrace the suck. It's a joke, but it keeps that morale up. And if you can keep your morale up and you can keep focused, it helps so much. But one of the other things that people don't necessarily tie in with veteran suicide, substance abuse. We have DAPA in the Navy. It's probably called something different in the branches, but ours is the Drug and Alcohol Prevention and Assistance Program. What do we do for people who are having issues with drug and alcohol issues? Like it used to be, oh well, if you can't handle your own issues, goodbye. And they'd kick them out of the service, and then you're kicking someone out of the service with the drug or alcohol issue, and they're now depressed. And okay, now another veteran has lost their life. Way to go, guys! And you just kind of threw them out to the wolves. Now with the drug and alcohol assistance programs that we have, you can get treatment and remain active duty if you effectively pass your treatment and get clean and sober and maintain it. And that's another sense of accomplishment that, oh, they didn't give up on me. They knew my life meant something. Now you get out and you go to the civilian world, people give a shit about you. You know your life means something, and you no longer have those substance abuse issues that could also bring those demons back. And that's a great one too. Back in it's crazy. Like, so September of 2020, right? It used to cost in the civilian world $56 to $140 a session just to go see a civilian therapist on average. That was an average, anywhere between $56 and $140 a session. I don't make enough to do that on a constant basis. Juiced, how's your paycheck looking? No, no,
It's a lot less than yours.
Yeah, like it's not a thing that a lot of military members can swing to go see a therapist 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week to talk this out. So with these programs now being implemented, it the VA having those therapists to talk to veterans and be there and have obviously the VA can only provide so many employees to the vast number of veterans that need those therapy sessions, but that's one of the things that's so great about these teams like Regiment and 22 a day till Valhalla. They are putting into the spotlight the importance of bringing groups together, bringing the camaraderie. Hey, yeah, we're military. We're badasses. We don't talk to anybody. We do it on our own. Pardon my French, but fuck that. We are here for each other when we're active. Why the hell aren't we there for each other when we're off duty or a veteran? We should absolutely still be able to talk to each other and check in on each other and make sure that everyone's good to go. Because between the VA and the veterans, we've got full net coverage. Because we can't do it on our own. We can't make sure that everyone knows what's going on with us if we don't tell people what's going on with us. It's first and foremost our responsibility to let someone know, like, hey man, I need to talk. Hey, I need to go over some shit. But even more so, if you're not going through it, to be able to be there for someone who is. Because yeah, the programs are out there and the programs are fantastic when you can get into them. But if it's not there, we need to know that we've got each other's backs as well. And it's just, it's one of those things where we're starting to get a good ground with this, but it's going to continue to be a battle. It is.
And you hear the saying like, nobody drinks more than a sailor in the Navy, stuff like that. But I'm not saying that I don't have the occasional drink every now and then. I'm sure most people do. But I guess people kind of say it as a joke, but a lot of times it's not a joke. I mean, I've seen, and like I said, I haven't been in that long. I've already seen people like, hey man, like let's go get some drinks, and it's a Tuesday during
Yeah.
the day, and
As soon as work's over, it's let's go drink. And
I know, and I'm like, oh, like I'm not saying I haven't done it, like with them, but then when they constantly ask you, it's like, dude, like are
again,
you okay?
yeah.
Are you good? And honestly, that just asking, like Hobbs said, just asking if somebody's good or okay. If it was like an every Friday night or Saturday night thing, I mean, personally, I wouldn't be really that worried. But on a Tuesday, every week, every day,
Yeah, and I
it's
hold
like,
myself accountable with that. I have a saying where I say I don't drink on school nights. If I know I got work the next day, I don't drink on school nights. And you hold yourself accountable with that. But yeah, if you've got someone who's basically hiding from something by, okay, let's go drink every day. Absolutely, that's definitely a sign. You know, and we've been talking about these things for a little while now, and we went over some numbers. We went over the percentages and the numbers, and we can talk about that all day. But OG, I kind of want to get your aspect and your involvement on this. How can we as service members, one, help civilians understand more what veterans are going through with PTSD? And, from the civilian sector, what does it mean to you? How does it affect you? What do you see from your side? I'd really like to get some insights from you on that.
It's interesting. I don't know. The awareness has about PTSD has changed so much over the last 10 to 15 years. I think in the past, PTSD was considered a weakness, um, and today it is significantly more understood as as a symptom of a traumatic event, as opposed to a weakness. And so from a veteran who is experiencing PTSD to help a civilian, I really don't think that there's it's not incumbent upon them to help a civilian understand it. I think it's incumbent on the civilian to have enough compassion for their fellow human being to say, "Hey, man, something doesn't quite seem right with you. You used to love to go fishing, and now you don't want to go fishing anymore." Or, "I haven't heard from you in like 3 weeks. Is everything okay?" I think it's just a general awareness from people recognizing a change of behavior. And it may be nothing. It may just be, "Hey man, I just been totally absorbed in work. Everything's good." But the fact that you just reach out, and it can be a text, it could be an email, it could be a telephone call, um, just to get the conversation started. And don't, I mean, from a civilian perspective, um, this applies to anybody. It's not just veterans. It's not just. I mean, um, I was a first responder. I've got a police officer who lives across the street. I'm constantly asking him when I see him out. I'll stop him from cutting his grass, which I'm sure he hates. And I'll just be like, "Hey man, how you doing? You okay? There's a lot of crap going on right now, and and are you okay? Is everything good? You know, just having somebody reach out to somebody else and say, "Hey, I'm interested," for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That's all it takes. If I see a veteran with a hat, USS whatever, or Vietnam veteran, or Korean vet, or whatever, I'm walking up to him. I mean, I'm saying thanks. Thanks for your service. It's simply just recognizing people for what they've done. Maybe that's all it takes. Maybe that's all it takes for that guy to get through the day, or that woman to get through the day. "Hey man, some guy came up and thanked me today." That's, that's awesome. Um, Maybe they don't think it's awesome. Maybe they just think, "Well, yeah, I deserve that." Doesn't matter. Um, the adage is true that we don't know what people are going through. So treat everybody the way you'd want to be treated. Goes for goes for anybody. Um, I happen to have family in the military. A lot of Marines in my family. Um, I have lost people, lost friends to combat. I've lost friends to suicide, whether they're military or not. Um, so I don't know what it is about the military to me. I think the fact that you guys voluntarily set your life aside um, to volunteer your efforts to support this country, to me is a sacrifice that unless you do it, you can't understand it. I think it ought to be mandatory. I think if it were mandatory, if service were mandatory for a year to 2 years, I think we'd have a whole different world, whole different country that we would live in that would understand sacrifice, accountability, um, and the characters that make people great. We don't have that right now. There's no accountability. There's none of that. So my perspective on veterans is you've made a conscious decision to make a sacrifice that most people are not willing to do, and that deserves praise. It deserves recognition, and it deserves gratitude. Throw in the stress that you're under doing what you're doing. in combat. The human body wasn't designed to witness the stuff that people have witnessed, in my opinion. How you see some of the stuff that people have seen and walk away and think you will ever be different, I, you're naive to think that you're not different. Even if you think you're not different, I've seen stuff, EMS and fire. I've seen stuff that nobody else has seen. Not nobody else, but very few people have seen, and I'll never forget it. Did it affect me? Yeah, maybe it gave me a better appreciation for veterans who voluntarily do put themselves in that position and do it under fire with somebody else trying to take your life. That's a totally different level. That's the highest level. So I just think it's a matter of just being thankful. I support a number of charities. Some are very personal. I have a friend of mine who lost a son in Afghanistan. They created a small foundation to help discharged veterans get from their port of entry, for lack of a better word, home. My understanding is and I may be wrong on this, but my understanding is that when you get out of the service, you get out at whatever base you're at, but they don't necessarily give you the means to get home.
So you get one move now,
Okay.
but it's to your home of record. So where you joined is where you would go. So if like, maybe you're married now and you intend to, you and your spouse intend to go back to your spouse's home of record and live near their family because you've grown closer with their family, or maybe your family, God forbid, mother, father, whatever, may not be alive, you have no siblings, so you're cutting ties from where you joined and you're moving to a completely different state somewhere else. The military does not move you there. You are slated for your home of record. Now, there are ways to change your home of record to somewhere else while you're still active. But if you are a junior service member, maybe only in for 3 or 4 years, you do your one enlistment and you leave, a lot of that information you don't know. You don't know. So it's one of those things where again it's these new transition assistance programs that are very crucial to for people to get that information.
Right. So if you're a single veteran and you come home, but you want to go see your parents first, I mean, you want to see your family. This little foundation, and it's somewhat dormant now. It was very active in the late 2017, 2016. They would pay for a ticket. They raised money to pay for a ticket to allow you to fly kind of to your destination. Till Valhalla project. You mentioned it earlier. I'm actually wearing one of their shirts right now. Suicide prevention as well as recognition to the family. If a veteran has, survived the trauma of war or combat, and they come home and they succumb to the trauma of PTSD, they create memorial plaques to give to the families to say, hey, listen, they'll never be forgotten. I think that's incredibly important. Wounded warriors, again, I give money to wounded warriors. It's and it's not just giving money. It's just recognizing people's choices and their sacrifices, and just saying hello and thank you. It's really a simple thing. Doesn't cost anything. Takes 2 seconds. Maybe you have a friend. You create a friend out of it. I mean, it's I don't know. I have an old soul, and I come from a family that was taught to recognize those that have sacrificed, whether it's a police officer, a fire department, whether it's just a volunteer, somebody who's helping out at a food bank. Give back. If we all just gave back a little bit, and I'm speaking more kind of civilian, but if we all just gave back a little bit, man, what a better world this would be. And I'm not talking about, you know, giving 50% of your income or it's just little teeny tiny things. If we all make a
Giving back
little,
your time and your effort.
just anything, just
Yeah.
recognition. Juice, you're in relatively soon. It doesn't matter whether you've been in a year, 15 years, 20 years. Thank you. I mean, I know your job sucks. I hear it in your voice, but I also know that you're proud to be doing what you're doing, and that's huge. Hobbs, you're the amount of knowledge that you carry, and your love for your brothers and sisters in the armed forces, doesn't matter what branch, it shows. X, you're doing this to make a difference in people's lives. You're opening awareness. You're providing a conduit for people to understand more and better about what goes on and how we can help each other. My if somebody said to me, "You have one regret. If you have any regrets in your life, what would it be?" I don't know where my life would be now if I had taken a tour, had joined the military, but I think I would have enjoyed it, and I think I I wouldn't be surprised if that would have been a career for me. Um, it's probably my only regret is that I didn't make that sacrifice. So uh, knowing that, I feel like I owe a debt to those who have done it, and I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, OG. That was really, really good insight from the other side. So right now, Nira is going to be putting up in chat here. We've got a link for Psychiatric Times that I want to put up here covering our first section here before I turn this back over to X real quick. So this is going to be basically solving the mystery of military mental health. It's got a lot of fantastic information. So anybody that wants more information about what to do with military mental health, how we can approach that, please go check out that link. Anybody that maybe just wants to kind of stay here right now for the Talkcast, absolutely. All these links will be available in the Discord, in Talkcast Discord, in the PTSD section for that. So, OG kind of brought us around what the, civilian aspect of this has been. X talking from the veteran standpoint, I talked from someone who has quite a few years in. Juiced, I want to hear from you, what programs and charities that you see being available to active duty and veterans from, someone newer to the military? Like what has, kind of opened your eyes, either something you maybe didn't know about prior to serving or something that is kind of, very eye-opening to you?
I know that programs at least the program I've heard about the most that the military does provide is the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. For people in chat that may not know, they basically they're I'm not sure they're technically considered a charity. However, they do, like, let's say I needed help. Well, okay, for example, let's say I'm $20,000 in debt. Okay, like I got $20,000 in debt before, or excuse me, after I was in the military, and I'm just really struggling. If you're active duty, the paychecks aren't always the greatest. Uh, they will help you, maybe relieve some of that debt without necessarily going to a bank and just getting denied and just ruining your credit score. And they also are there for a lot of mental health issues and health related issues as well. Just providing, support to you and your family. And, even though it's called Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, they're actually across all branches. So that is good to know. Speaking from the civilian aspect, or not, excuse me, not the civilian aspect, but like programs that are like outside of the military. I'm a member of Regiment Gaming. They have over 11,000 on Twitter, a couple thousand on TikTok, and I think they have over like 5,600 or something on in their actual Discord. And there's a lot of active duty, a lot of veterans, and it's just a great community to be involved in. I mean, the day I announced that I was joining them, I got like 100 something followers on Twitter. So just the support that they have given me, it's like, you know what, we understand what your day in the life is like. We understand you may not be able to stream every day. We understand some days you just might be tired and not feel like talking, So it's good to have that. And then they also have like in Discord they have color roles for your like I'm Navy, so my color roll is blue, and then Air Force is like light blue and stuff like that. So it makes it easier to identify, hey, oh, this guy's in the Navy, this guy's in the Army. He'll definitely know what I'm talking about, if they see this message. So that's good. I know Battle 22 on TikTok, they have a lot. Their goal is to they want to end the 22 suicides a day on average, for active duty and veterans. In case y'all didn't know, I pretty think it's common sense. That number is not okay.
No.
22 a day out of the millions and millions of people in this country, and not even just in the country, across the world. I mean, I'm not sure how other countries' military suicide rate is, but I would imagine it's probably high. But 22 a day is not okay. One a day is not okay. Uh, so I I've actually followed them recently on TikTok after just learning about them, and I sat through.
I actually just learned about them as well as we were getting ready for this. I didn't even know who they were on TikTok, and yeah, they've got a lot of really, really good information, and they're powerful.
And back to the military thing, I know that there's the he was a former football player. His name is Pat Tillman. He played for like a year or two. I'm not sure. His name, like I said, it was Pat Tillman. He played for the Cardinals, and then 9/11 happened. I was like 3 years old. I was, I mean, because I'm 22. I was like 2 or 3 years old. So I wouldn't, not to make y'all feel old, but
Thanks.
I was alive, but I don't really know it. But I know like the motivation and determination behind it. Because that motivate me. I don't care how much money I'm making. I wanna go get these guys, and that's exactly what he did. And he unfortunately lost his life, in some gunfire. Uh, but that's the kind of sacrifice he makes. And then you see a lot of celebrities now, always complaining about stupid stuff, even though they make billions of dollars. And then he was like, you know what?
Approach someone that they believe might be, have PTSD or maybe having some mental health issues. What are the best ways for like friends and loved ones and families to maybe approach that conversation?
I think OG kind of, even hit it on the head just as simply as just engaging, right? Even with family members in terms of that, being able to, you know, recognize a pattern of change too, of hey, like what he said, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. You seem distant. You're not, you know, really reaching out anymore. Your energy seems, different. You're not as outgoing. You don't like to do um, the same stuff that you used to. So just simple things in terms of, just reaching out, seeing how they're doing. Just a phone call or a text, honestly can change the mentality of some people. So, for example, I have personally recently lost one of my old supervisors from Germany. He had committed suicide, and a lot of people were asking, they're like, I don't understand, like, what happened. Well, leading up to it, he was in the service for 21 years, and all the people that he used to engage with, used to talk to, disappeared, right? I know sometimes, like families, family time comes up, we get kind of lost in like our own thing. Uh, but in that moment, he felt like he didn't have anyone. And he kind of started secluding himself from stuff. He stopped participating in unit events. He stopped, um, you know, participating stuff with like, his family. And no one raised the question as to, well, hey, like, we haven't talked in a while. And so he got, in that headspace, um, of just, being alone, didn't have anyone to talk to, felt that, once he got out, he, didn't have anything. So, you know, just, I guess, simply just being there for someone, you don't even have to say anything. Just letting them just talk and just get stuff that's off their chest, like that makes a huge difference. Um, and yeah, it's not easy sometimes talking uh, to some of us vets, because we like, the stuff that we've seen, we do compartmentalize a lot, and we have a tendency sometimes to shut down or not be as receptive to opening up. It's kind of like the concept of like Pandora's box, right? You start opening one box, multiple boxes open, so it gets hard for us sometimes. So sometimes like we get not standoffish with the person that's talking to us. It's more of a standoffish with what's going on in our heads sometimes. So it gets kind of,
Conversation. Yeah.
yeah. So it gets kind of just hard because it's an internal battle that we have. But at the end of the day, like I said, not trying to fix someone, but just talking with them makes a huge difference. Because sometimes if you come to a vet and say, "I see you're broken, let me fix you," and we usually be like, "No, we're good."
Yep.
We'll just kind of
I'm
push
good.
it. Yeah, we'll just push it off to the side, because again, that's
10 by 10.
yeah,
Push forward.
yeah.
Good to go.
Well, yeah, because I mean that was the mentality that a lot of us had to go through in the military. Oh, you have a problem? Cool, you can work it out yourself, kind of thing. So, like I said, just seeing that the behavior is different, and then just addressing, like, hey, I'm here. Like, if you ever just need to talk, like, I'm here, kind of thing. The
Yeah.
simple, it's just that simple.
And can I interject one thing on that, X?
Yeah, good.
So I'm gonna put a little bit of my stuff out there that I don't think probably many people here other than maybe X and Nira know, but it's the right day to. Um, July 2019, I lost my father. By January of 2020, I was divorced after 8 years of marriage. It all snowballed into a perfect storm that caused me a lot of depression, a lot of anxieties, a lot of um, a lot of I don't give a shit. I was waking up every day and still going to work because it pays my rent. But I wasn't who people knew. I wasn't who people expected to be at work. I stopped doing any of the collateral duties I used to do. I was come to work, do my job, go home, piss off, leave me alone. Um, and there was a point where I stopped talking to most of my buddies online. Like they wouldn't hear from me for days, weeks at a time. I wasn't responding to their text messages. I wasn't responding to anything. Um, but they didn't quit. They just, hey man, just making sure you're still doing good. I know you've been busy with work. I know you got stuff going on. But like every day, and like annoyingly so, believe me, if you're in that headspace where you're depressed and you're like, leave me the fuck alone, when people don't leave you the fuck alone, pardon my French, but that's the only way I could describe it. Like I wanted them to leave me alone. And they would not leave me alone. But I always had that reminder, well, they're still bugging me, but in the back of my mind, they were still bugging me. They were still checking. It got to the point one night where I did have one of my handguns. It was loaded to the side of my head. I was ready to go. I was done. I didn't know any other way. And whether you believe in a higher power, God, whatever your religion is, or if it was just manifest destiny, one of my buddies happened to call me. He was like, hey, man, I haven't talked to you in a while. As it was literally to the side of my head, loaded, ready to go. I had a glass of whiskey in my one hand, my gun in the other. My phone rang. And it was a buddy I hadn't talked to in probably a year because he's been busy with work. He was deployed for a little while. He came back and he's like, hey, man, just wanted to see if you wanted to grab a drink. I mean, probably minutes. And it was just he hadn't heard from me and wanted to check in. You never know what the timing can be. And that snapped me out of it. I was like, holy shit. I wouldn't have been there to answer his phone call. And he came in. I broke down. I told him what was going on. He came and picked me up. He called my supervisor and was like, look, this is what just happened. He needs tomorrow off work. Can you make it happen? He's like, I'm going to take him out for some drinks. I've got him. I'm staying with him tonight. He's good. And that whole next day, I let everything I'd been holding in out. And it wasn't that, someone had bugged me and bug and bug and, oh, let me help you. Let me fix you. It's just if they know you are there and they know it's available, when they're ready, it will be there. But constantly let someone know you're there. Remind them that you're there. Don't push it, because if you, and it can be different for some people. If you push the issue, we will go into our little hole and we will deal with shit on our own. But the fact that you just constantly let someone know, hey man, just checking in, seeing how you've been. Exactly what OG said, exactly what X said. Hey, just checking in, making sure you're doing all right. Just a simple text keeps it in their mind that someone gives a shit. Maybe they're not ready to talk. Maybe they're not there. But the fact that someone called when it was absolutely needed, sometimes it's just that time. You just need to consistently let someone know. Consistently just check in. Hey, just checking in on you, bud. How you doing? Oh, doing good, man. All right, cool. He might not be doing good, but he knows someone at least asked. It makes a world of difference. It really does. So, last part of our first part of this that I do want to go over before our intermission here um, is the VA and how the VA has been helping veterans, mental health, and really everything that the VA can do. And the VA, it is what it is. There's good, there's bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the good, I believe, far outweighs some of the downfalls. And it's with everything in life. The good most times outweighs anything bad. But the VA does offer private counseling sessions, support groups, veterans, families. They have over 300 facilities across the country, and they're out there. The military is putting more money constantly into the VA, into these programs, into doing what they can. And unfortunately, Juiced, a lot like you said, you were like, how are these numbers still what they are? They're learning. If there's anything you've learned in, a little over a year, you said you've been in, hurry up and wait, right? You've heard it. We move real fast at a slow pace. It's the best way I can describe it. They know what's wrong, but it is it's the military industrial complex. Everything has to be approved by, umpteen people before it can be pushed forward. It is what it is. It's what makes us incredibly effective in combat, but unfortunately the downside of it is things move a little slowly sometimes. So, you know, but what's really interesting is, not every veteran qualifies for VA assistance. If they get out and they make a certain amount of money afterwards, you may not qualify for VA assistance because they deem you not in the range of qualification. But their staff, they're being trained now to assist you in finding other resources outside of the VA. Like, hey, unfortunately, we can't support you, but we are going to put you in contact with these people. And that's one of the big things that the VA has started focusing on is, hey, we are not available, but we're not just going to send you away. We're going to start giving extra steps, and these are the places within your local area that can help you, and these extra support systems. So the VA is they're starting to get there. They're starting to definitely take a much more focused approach on mental health and suicide and veteran suicide and PTSD for sure. So X, if you don't have any further questions for us regarding the first half, man, or OG or Juice, if you have anything you'd like to throw in on any of the topics from the first half here. If not, X, I'll kick it over back to you for our first intermission and wrap up of the first half here, bud.
Yeah, no, thank you guys very much for opening up and sharing some really great insight um, to some of the questions. So, chat, we're gonna take a quick 5 minute intermission. We have questions that you guys put in chat. I'm gonna ask that when we come back from our 5 minute intermission. Um, but yeah, as this continues, feel free to throw more questions in chat. Our mods are sending it to us as this is going. So I appreciate the first half of questions that were thrown out. Like I said, I'll ask that once we come back from intermission.
Perfect. See you guys in 5 minutes.
All right, guys.
Juiced, I got you on the friend request, brother.
All right, and we are back. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you guys very much for that quick intermission. Allowed us to get some drinks, get us back together. So before we start with OG, there's some questions from chat that I would like to ask. So this one came in from chat. Have each of you experienced or been diagnosed with PTSD? If so, did therapy help, or what helped?
Good question.
So Hobbs, I'll let you start off first.
I have not actually been diagnosed with PTSD. I also never went to a therapist. I was one of those, and I probably still am, extremely hard-headed people that said, I don't need therapy. I'm fine. I can deal with it on my own. Obviously, I wasn't. Um, but I didn't go to a therapist. I sought out the comfort and the ear of friends and family as I started to become more comfortable with it. And I was like, you know what? After that first night, and I was like, you know what? Nothing happened. I talked about it. I'm still here. I don't feel less of a man for talking about my shit. I don't feel, emasculated or, embarrassed. It needed to be talked about. Do I believe that there was some form of either depression? Absolutely. I still feel it to this day. If I start thinking about it too much or getting in my head about it, absolutely the depression can seep back in for sure. Um, I don't necessarily consider it a full PTSD, but depression and anxiety absolutely stemmed from, like I said, it was the perfect storm of events. And when that many things happen in your life like that, yeah, it could be considered a traumatic series of events. So, never formally diagnosed with it, but absolutely self diagnosed depression and anxiety came from that for sure. Um, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Hobbs. Juiced, we'll go with you next.
Can you repeat the question again?
Oh yeah, of course. So the question is, see, have each of you experienced or been diagnosed with PTSD? If so, did therapy help, or what helped?
No. So like I've said before, I'm pretty new to it. However, so I haven't been diagnosed with PTSD. But personally, I do have bipolar, so I do experience mood swings. And for those of you who don't know what bipolar is, it's more than just mood swings. It's like you get really high highs and really low lows. So in an instant, my mood could be like, I could be like, yo, like I could go downstairs to my wife after streaming and be like, yo, like, babe, I just hit this really cool clip. Like, it's so dope. I'm so high. But if I have a terrible time gaming, like for example, if Warzone has been bad to me, it completely kills my mood. And before joining the military, I did see therapists just for like I don't know. I guess I was just assigned one as a kid, and I can tell you that therapy helps. You know, it helps just having someone to talk to, even if they're just some random person with a degree. In psychology. It's still good to have somebody to talk to, whether they understand what you're going through or not. It's just always good. So I personally haven't been diagnosed with it, but I can tell you from personal experience that therapy helps.
Thanks, Juiced. OG?
A-
Oh, go ahead, Hobbs.
Actually, I wanted to say before we got to OG on it, X, I want to bring the question to you as well, as as a veteran. Have you experienced any of that?
So I'll go last.
Okay, perfect.
So OG.
Yeah, I mean, I'm PTSD is not um, specific to the military. So I've not been diagnosed with PTSD. I've never sought treatment. Uh, but it is important, I think, to recognize it as an issue and to give it the kind of the respect it deserves um, from a recognition um, perspective. I mean, it's again, as I pointed out earlier, it used to be considered a weakness. Now it's not a weakness. I think people understand it as being an issue, and what most people will um, I think at some point we all have a traumatic event in our life that um, we either recognize it as a traumatic event and how it affects us, or we don't. If you're fortunate enough to recognize it as a traumatic event, and then you have an appreciation for what other people are going through. So I just think it's important to, you know, uh, it's hard to probably to self-diagnose, but I think Hobbs talked about it earlier, and X did as well, that when you start to change your behavior from things that you used to do pretty quickly, um, I think you may not recognize it, but your friends will. And then and to just follow up on juice, therapy helps. Doesn't matter. Don't be afraid of therapy, and you know, therapy can be talking to your spouse, talking to your girlfriend, talking to your boyfriend, talking to a buddy, or taking it, taking it a step further and seeking out somebody who can maybe is a little bit better attuned at giving you the tools to deal with things. So
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely having that support, whether it's therapy or family or a significant other, or even just someone that's been a friend, whether it's short term or long term, definitely helps out in a situation like that. So for myself, I haven't been diagnosed with PTSD. I do have uh, some fits of like depression and like really severe social anxiety. I did used to suffer from like really bad sleep terrors where just prior experiences, obviously come within that dream state. Um, so having to relive multiple instances of that, whether you're awake or asleep, it definitely messes with you on a mental state sometimes. But being able to you know talk it out, uh, with someone has definitely helped. I think it's been 4-ish years since I've had one of those severe nightmares. So, uh, but it overall, it's always good sometimes just to open up. Like I said, us vets sometimes we're really closed off. We don't usually open up ourselves too often. Um, and that's not a fault. That's just something that we've had to in order to keep ourselves in a straight line. That's usually how we deal with it and how we kind of manage like those stresses that we went through, or some of the stuff that we've seen or had to do. So I think it's as you get to know a vet, active or I'm sorry, a military person, whether they're active or a veteran, just like I said, don't try and say, oh well, I see your issue, I could fix it. Just listen to them. Like I said, sometimes it's just easier for us just to talk it out in our own way, even if it doesn't make sense. Just just being there to let them know that you're there. So that it helps out a lot.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
X, I would also say there's a societal misunderstanding about, and for any female folks in chat, I, this is not meant to offend. This is just kind of my perception. I think there's a societal problem with how men are perceived, what's expected. Um, the, it's a difficult spot, um, for you can, if you're not a certain way, you're considered something. If you're the opposite, and you're not, you're doing something else, you're considered something as well. So I think I think we as men have to understand that, and this goes for women too, but this is more just a, I'm trying to be a little bit politically correct here. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say I've got an issue. It's okay to say I'm having trouble dealing with something. The world expects you to just, as Juiced and Hobbs said earlier, suck it up, Buttercup. That's what the world expects of men. Um, to some degree, women, you know, but I think the stigma of being a man and having PTSD or being diagnosed with PTSD or having issues dealing with something that society says, well, shit, you should know how to deal with this. You're a man, you're a guy, just get over it, figure it out. I think that's a tough hurdle for men to get over, to say, well, listen, if I, am I really who I think I am because I'm having problems with this? And that's where therapy can help.
No,
Absolutely, yeah.
I
That's
think
great
that's great.
insight.
No, thank you for that, guys. So I guess we have one more question, uh, and this is to all of us. Is one thing that we could change about the aftercare, um, for vets transitioning out? What would we change to help uh, benefit the vets,
Oof, that's a good question.
or even
That's
the folks that are in too?
Say that again, X.
yeah.
Say
Sorry.
that again.
So the question is, what is one thing you could change about the aftercare with your experience? Um, and it says, what would you change to help and benefit our vets?
Well, I've seen people, serve 4 to 15, whatever years, and they're working basic jobs. Like for example, when I worked at NTB, which is just a tire. Well, it's more than a tire and lube place, and they do other stuff as well. But you have, uh, a former combat engineer in the army changing tires. It's like he did so much more than what he was doing now before doing that job, and it's like I feel like they have, like veterans, have a lot more to offer. Granted, like I was saying earlier, they have programs now where you can get civilian qualifications, but I still feel like I've done a lot of research on it, like just in my free time at work, and I feel like they could make it a lot easier into transitioning to a civilian job. I mean, a lot of
Finding
places,
value in it.
yeah, because I know a lot of places tend to hire prior service members just because they know that they typically have good work ethic, good attention to detail, all the good qualities you would need in a normal civilian job. But I feel like it could be a lot easier to maybe find a job that, let's say maybe you don't want to do the same thing in the civilian world that you did in the military, which I don't blame you, because you want to try something new. I feel like it'd be a lot easier. They can make it a lot easier to be like, you know what, this guy has experience in all these. He has these qualities. We can train him to do this new job. Whether that's the military training you or your new job in the civilian world training you. I mean, I feel like there's probably some leadership classes out there that I just don't know because I'm not in leadership yet in the military. But uh, I know one of my LPOs is taking leadership classes now. So whenever he gets out, he has experience in management, quote unquote. So I mean, I'm not saying there isn't things out there to help you transition, and it definitely is a lot easier now to transition from military to civilian life now. But just from what I see, I think that there could be easier ways and things to get that way. You're not stuck doing a basic job. I mean, I've even seen people working at Food Line, and it's like my guy's bagging groceries when a couple years ago he was shooting bad guys.
Yeah. I think for me, if I had to pinpoint something that I see probably the most frustration from people, medical. Medical tying into the VA, active duty medical and VA. When you've got someone who says, "Hey, I've got these things going on." I'm sorry, but ibuprofen doesn't fix everything. It doesn't. I've got mental health issues going on. Well, antidepressant medication isn't always the answer. Here's some pills, go take them. You know, and I get it. Everything comes down to funding. I get that. But we need to put more of an emphasis on mental health and medical providers, having enough providers to the point where they don't have to constantly cancel appointments or reschedule, or oh, they're not here, or we've got another appointment in 15 minutes, so we got to rush through this so I can get my next person. We need to provide the proper amount of healthcare and mental health providers so that people have the time to talk to people they need to talk to. That to me is the big thing.
You can't also forget Tylenol fixes everything.
Yeah, ibuprofen and change your socks, baby.
Yeah, every
You
day.
got this.
I think that's one of the
Ibuprofen, Tylenol, and drink water, and change your socks, and you're solid.
yeah, one of the running jokes is, a military member goes in to see the doctor for leg pain. The doctor, without even seeing him, prescribes him ibuprofen, but he doesn't realize that he had his leg missing. So it's like I think there's some disconnect there too, where like what you were saying, just being able to push people through and actually taking the time to have them correctly evaluated, kind of the big thing.
Yeah, go back to small business. Stop running people like an assembly line and actually take time to help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. OG insights. I know that's kind of a tough one for you to have an insight on.
No, I mean, I'm reading the comments in chat. Hobbs, you're echoing some of the comments in chat about canceling appointments and that sort of stuff. And
Oh shit.
in the
Sorry if I stole someone's thunder.
no,
But that's the
no,
thing, is
it's just a
it's
reaffirmation of
crazy.
it's a
Yeah.
reaffirmation of reality. I mean, um, civilian life is it's a little different. I get charged if I miss an appointment at a doctor. Um, but you can't flip that around and charge the doctor for your time, if they decide to cancel. So, you know, unfortunately, as you pointed out, it all comes down to money and where we choose, where as a government we choose to spend money, and where as a society we choose to spend money. I think the mental health thing crosses boundaries from military to civilian life. I think a lot of the the stuff we see, the people flipping out and doing horrible things, could be addressed with more money spent on mental health. We're getting there, but it's at a glacial pace instead of the pace that it really needs to get to. So um, and I, from a civilian who pays taxes, I apologize, from my perspective, that you guys have to go through this nonsense that the rest of the world really doesn't have to do. So I think makes me sick to my stomach. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
X, are there any other questions from chat?
So I think we addressed a good portion of them. Talked about the transitioning back. I think in chat we answered if VA dogs were veterans. Some of them are vets. Some are contracted civilians. Um, so yeah, I think that's the only question. And then so I think OG, I think you are good to start. And then if there's any more, we'll answer those at the end of the segment as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and if I may, real quick, OG, for the portion that we're about to do for asking me, I want to bring Juiced in on these questions as well, to get someone, because that way we get two, varying perspectives from someone who's been in a little over a decade to someone who's, in their first couple years.
Absolutely. So make a little bit of a transition here to kind of help chat get to know Juice and Hobbs a little bit better. So, and I'm always interested in these kinds of questions anyway. Um, so I'm curious what it was that inspired each of you to make that choice to join the military.
Juice, if you want to go ahead and go first.
Well, to be honest, I'm kind of weird. So for the longest time, I was always, before me and my wife got married, I was living with her and her parents for a while, just because my family lived a couple hours away. But I kind of always been on my own since I was like 18, because they moved away right after I graduated high school, and I was like, you know what, I don't feel like making new friends, so I stayed. But anyways, And I'm one of those people. I'll say like this is really bad. I'll say that I'm gonna go do something, and then I don't do it. Okay. And for the longest time, I was like, I'm gonna join the military. It's because I watch movies. This is gonna sound super cliche. I watch movies and like I watched American Sniper, which is a fantastic movie if you haven't seen it, by the way. And I was like, excuse my language, that shit looked dope as fuck. Okay. And then I've seen movies like Captain Phillips, another great movie as well. And I was like, I want to join the military, but I never do it. And then people would always be like, you know what? You keep saying this, but you're not going to do it. So I started looking at it, and I was like, I want to join, but I don't want to go far away. Which is funny because I'm as far away as you
You're on
could
the
be
other side of the damn
in
country now.
But so I was thinking about joining Coast Guard, call me a puddle pirate. But I was like, you know what? I didn't know the Navy had green uniforms when I joined. Okay,
You
I
didn't
joined.
always.
I'm gonna be honest. I literally was like, I saw the blueberry uniforms, and I was like, that's sexy. I think I would look good in that. And if I'm being honest, that was my sole deciding factor. I was like, that uniform looks sexy. And then I got to boot camp, and I was like, it's green.
Welcome to the Greens, baby.
But it's not bad, I mean, I like to think that I'm patriotic, I mean, obviously, our country has issues that I think need to be addressed, just with every other country. But I love our country. Besides the issues that I think need to be addressed, I think overall we're a pretty good country. Um, you know, I'm personally going to be out celebrating 4th of July. And it's to me 4th of July is not necessarily it shouldn't be like, yeah, we're the best country in the world, but we're just celebrating our independence and why we get to do what we do as active duty. I'm like, you know what? I just, like I was saying in the beginning of the stream, that I just have a different appreciation for things now because I work hard. I'm not saying that civilians don't work hard, but the stuff that I do, I mean, I live right outside an air base. I hear jets flying, whether I'm working or not. And it's like, you know what? That's
I
cool.
like to call
I
that
know.
the sound of freedom.
Yep, that's exactly what I call it. I call it the sound of freedom, And while it's not literally like, but it's not like literally what freedom sounds like. To me, if somebody asked me what it sounds like, I'd be like, it sounds like that. And
It's an A10.
yep. Well, we have
sorry, real aviation X, not Air Force. We have more planes than you. This is where it's gonna get. This is where it's gonna get spicy.
Here it comes.
Yeah, it's like the F-18s, But
We're warplanes.
But just to kind of sum it up, I joined kind of on a whim. I mean, I went to the recruiter. He's super chill. They always say there's only two liars. They say in boot camp there's two types of liars. There's recruit, and then there's recruit with ER at the end. But my recruiter was pretty honest. He was super chill. He's in ABH 1, I think. They
don't have time to bullshit.
Yeah. He basically, ABH is just launch jets on planes. That's basically all they do. But he's super chill with me, and I went to him, and then within a month I shipped out. I went like end of July, and I got an early shipping bonus for 30 days. So I like I said, I kind of joined on a whim. Didn't have like a legitimate reason besides that the uniforms looked good, and people think you're in the
And
army.
then we got rid of them.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm kind of patriotic, and I love our country. So why not just give some of my time back to the country that's allowed me to be here today?
Awesome. So
Hobbs, wait. A follow up to Juice real quick. Are you glad you did it?
Am I glad I did it? I'm gonna be honest. I have my days sometimes. I have my
depends
days.
on the day.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I have my days sometimes, but overall, would I change my decision? No, because I think about it. It's like I could be working, especially at my age, I could be working the same automotive job. Even though I know a lot about cars, I could be working the same, and mechanics aren't necessarily the highest paid. So the military pays for a lot of my expenses, like food, housing, and stuff like that. So would I change the decision? No. But I do have my days where I'm like, same shit again.
Appreciate it. All right, Hobbs. Talk to me. What was it about the military that just said, man, this is where I got to go?
It looks good in the uniform.
Actually, I was having a sleepover at Juice's house, and we were watching Captain Phillips, and I thought, man, I'd look good in that uniform. So no, so for me, I was a late starter in the military, in that I did not come in directly after high school. I did not join until I was 22. I took a few years to kind of find myself and do whatever the hell I wanted. When I was 18, I moved out of my parents' house. Me and like four buddies all rented a house together. I got into the bar and nightclub scene. Started working on promotional teams. Became an MC and a DJ in a lot of bars and nightclubs in and around Atlanta, and enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, I was up, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, getting to the club, running through mixes and doing lights and drinking all day long, all night long, partying 5 nights a week, just hardcore going at it. And I started rapidly realizing that that is not something sustainable that I knew I could do. Like I started realizing like, yeah, I'm getting paid in cash. I'm doing these things all the night. Like, yeah, it's fun. It's a party. Like, let's do it. But there was no longevity in that career. Like, yeah, you can make a great living off being a DJ if you're like in the 0.001% of DJs who make it big. Otherwise, unless you're wanting to start like a mobile DJ business and do venues and events and weddings and corporate events and things like that, which it wasn't really my thing. Like, I wanted to be a party DJ. And I was like, there's no longevity in this career. So I was sitting at home one night and I was thinking about it, and I saw what my dad did. My dad came up from very, very impoverished, upbringing. And as soon as he could, when the Vietnam War happened, he volunteered for the Navy. And I saw what his time in the Navy, he did 4 years active, 22 reserve. I saw what his time in the Navy did for him and the man that it made him, and the pride that he took, even as a reservist, the pride he took when he had drilling weekends and his 2 weeks active. And, he was naval aviation as well. And, taking him around the world and the things that he got to see, the things that he got to experience, the pride that he took in putting on that uniform and what it meant to him. I said, you know what? If I'm going to look for a career that truly means something and brings me a sense of pride as well, I want to do something where I can, make my family proud, make myself proud, and really put forth everything I can into, basically, instead of taking advantage of the country I was in, doing all of these crazy things. I was like, let me get some structure in my life. And I remember the day I came home and I said, hey, Dad, Mom and Dad, I think I'm going to join the Navy. I was visiting them on the weekend, and they were like, what? Because it super threw them off, being diagnosed with ADHD and having a lot of problems in school through all my school years. They were like blown away because they never thought I would go that route. And I said, I need structure, and I want to do something bigger than me. I want to do something and be part of a team, like Dad was. And when that realization hit me, I remember I got off work Thursday night, Friday morning at like 5 a.m. I left the club. And I sat in the recruiter's parking lot and waited till 08 when they opened. And I walked right in, and I looked at him and he said, hey, what can we do for you today? And I walked right in. I said, I want to join the Navy. He said, well, you just made my job pretty easy. Have a seat. It was very simple. It was about a year process in my mind of, what am I going to do with my life? How can I do something more than just this every day? And that's what it came down to.
So I think we've both figured out that you guys are both in the Navy. Um,
Booyah.
so
Yeah, baby.
how and this is more for Hobbs than it is for you, since you're active, but how do you relate your military career to what you've done since you know what you're doing now?
So for me, being in the military as long as I have, it's brought me a sense of structure, timing, consistency, scheduling, and in streaming world, it absolutely takes that. You know, people have their own lives as well. And if you can put out a structure and you can put out a schedule, you do this, you do this, you do this. I'm live on these days at this time, you know. And so I come home and I go, okay, I come home, I go ahead and take a shower, you know, I make dinner. Okay, I'm going live at this time. I'm getting off stream at this time because I have to be up for work the next day at this time. It's no different than, I mean, obviously, vast differences, but scheduling wise, it's really no different than being on deployment because you're working your extended hours on deployment. So you work, go to the gym, grab chow, relax,
Sleep.
maybe go PT for a minute, and then go
Eat.
sleep, wake up, do it again, you know, and you do it right over. So, you know, I would say for me, it's the structure that the military taught me, the structure, the timing, um, that really addressed a lot of, you know, the streaming side of scheduling is really what I've probably brought the most into it.
All right, so Juiced, this is a little off script here, but what's a what's a typical day for you? Do you work Monday through Friday? Do you work weekends? Do you work nights? Tell me a little bit about how your a typical day in the life of Juiced is.
So life of Juice or life as Airman Sparks?
Airman Sparks.
So typical life for me, work wise, is so I work. I just recently got moved to nights. Um, so I work night shift is from 3:30 to when the fuck ever you get off. But I gotta be there at 3. Typically, recently we've been getting out at like 12:30, 1 o'clock ish. But we can get out like Thursday. We got out at 10:30 just because we had already came in early for a safety stand down, and then we were coming into a long weekend.
Got that
Um,
96, baby, early secure.
yeah. Um, but you know we have been staying a little bit later just because our maintenance chief. I feel like he's trying to get a star on his anchors, so he's making his work extra hard, which I don't really care or mind. Um, but I was in the line check before. For those of you who don't know, they launch jets, they recover jets, they clean the jets. There's a thing that you can get in the line check called a PC, stands for plane captain. No, that does not mean you fly the plane. Uh, you
That
basically
means you
are in
clean the
charge.
plane.
Yeah, you're basically in charge of the whole. It's a long qualification to get, but if you have it, you look really good for your evals. You know, and for PC, you know, you're doing all these hand signals for launching jets, stuff like that. You're taxiing them in. You know, you're the pilot's eyes on the ground, basically letting them know that you know this jet is good to go. Have a safe flight. Once it's in the air, it's on them. But when it's on the ground, it's your responsibility. So that's typically good. But there's stuff about it that sucks, like cleaning chains. That sucks. But it's easy, but it's stupid and it sucks.
Hmm.
Washing jets, you know, just prevent corrosion to keep our jets the best in the world. Um, Easy. It just sucks.
So
Um,
do you have the same days off a week, or does
uh,
it
yeah,
rotate, or
yeah. So I work Monday through Friday
okay?
from like 3 to typically 12:30. I'm off on weekends unless I have duty like a watch or something. But if I have duty, if that's my duty weekend, and I don't have a watch, they typically, you know, we're already at work for muster that Friday. Sometimes they'll make us show up at, like, you literally just show up, say, hey, I'm here, and leave.
Well, for me, I'm trying to make sure we are good and back up here.
Yep, we're
Yeah,
good to
we're
go.
loading up. Okay, we're good. Solid. Okay. Yeah, so for me, Yes, is the answer to that, because I do prefer continuity and structure in my day-to-day task, because especially as a work center supervisor now, um, and running log books and things of that nature, my job to someone like Juiced, because I've worked in squadrons as well, he knows. Someone like him who's a PR and a line shacker, my job sucks to them because I sit at a desk most of the day at this point. As a work center supervisor, I
I
no
give you my
longer,
respect.
yeah, like I no longer, like when I was a third class and a junior second class, I got my PC at the squadron. I got my 310 CDI as an AZ because I loved getting away from my desk. I loved being able to go out to the flight line, help the guys out there because I call myself an aviation paper bitch. I make the joke all the time because that's what I do. I handle logs and records, engines, ALSS equipment, all the record keeping. When does it need to get changed? Have we overflown these things? It's one of those jobs that is very important, but it's very, very boring sometimes. So you have to find ways to break up that monotony. So for me, yeah, the structure in my job absolutely is key because when I leave something on my desk and I know, okay, everything is done for today, I need to pick up exactly right here tomorrow. When I come in, I pick up right there. And I know exactly where all my stuff is, exactly where everything is, what I was working on, what my timesheets were, everything, right? But also, I love it when someone comes in and goes, hey, shit just popped off on the flight line. We need bodies. Gone. When I was ship's company, I picked up as many extra things to do as I could because I knew I was going to be in the office 12 to 14 hours a day anyway. I'm going to get bored. So I picked up things like SCAT team. I was part of the small craft awareness team. I was a 240 and a 50 cal gunner on the ship. I picked up security reaction force team alpha. So I was, if anything popped off on the ship when we were in port or underway, we would muster down at the SRF armory and basically secure the entire ship if we needed to. At one point, I became a stretcher bearer team leader, and I got my tactical combat casualty care training from our FMF Marine Corpsman. Um, learning to set IVs, battlefield trauma medicine, all of that, because I wanted to do frequent change. I'd be sitting at my desk, work, structure, and then you hear medical emergency, and I take off across the ship and I'm listening to where it's happening as I'm running to go help whoever just got hurt doing something else. So for me, I like the blend. That's why I answered that with yes, because for me, the blend of it is what keeps the structure, but also breaks up the monotony for sure.
Yeah, just to kind of touch base on that a little bit. I like the structure a lot because it never changes. But at least for me, I like changes every now and then. It's nice to know that hey, you're gonna wake up, do the same job, and leave. But if I was sitting behind a desk and something was popping off, I'm running right there with them. But I do think that like in terms of structure, I like that. Like I have my rate as a PR. Each rate kind of has their own little different billets that you can fill when it's your time to rotate or whatever.
Real quick on that, anybody in chat that's not Navy, rate is equivalent to MOS in the other branches.
Yeah, my bad. But like for me as a PR, when I work with survival equipment for the pilots and aircrew and stuff like that, like when I transfer to my first shore duty, I want to be a rescue swim instructor. Only PR. Well, I think another like former SEALs and special teams can do that stuff, but
An air crewman, yeah.
in air crew. But as a PR, that's like the only rate or MOS that's outside of those that can do that. Because we work with survival equipment, so that's a goal of mine is to do that because it's different than what you would normally do on a normal shoe duty, shore duty, not shoe duty, and you get to have fun with it. You're teaching people how to survive in the water if a helicopter crashes. So it can be very routine, but you also have those opportunities out there available. You could be an RDC, which is a drill instructor for the Navy in boot camp. I personally wouldn't want to do that, even though I like yelling at people. But it's just different opportunities you can do outside of that routine if you ever wanted to get away from that.
Yeah, the military is very structured in that if you want to do your job and only your job, Absolutely, you can. But there are plenty of extra duties for hard charging people that, hey, I want to do something a little bit different, maybe a little bit more challenging. There's absolutely those opportunities.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
But
with that, I kind of want to get your take on some things here, OG.
sure.
Obviously we see the flag sitting right behind you. We know those of us that have talked to you for a while now and gotten to know you, excuse me. Um, we know your support of the military, active duty and veterans, but what does it mean to you to support the military? Like what obviously, you said you do have family military, but what is it about supporting our military that really holds something near and dear to you?
That's a great question that I don't know I can adequately answer. To me, uh, look, I have a lot of differences of opinion of what's going on kind of politically right now in our country and social causes and um, controversial protests that are going on. And to me, without our military, we wouldn't be able to do any of that. And I know it sounds cliche that, um, you know, it's about our freedom, but I always find it interesting that people who have the biggest bitch take for granted the very thing that's allowing them to bitch. And, you know, that was provided to all of us um, through our military. Tomorrow is our Independence Day. We created the country that we live in. Arguably, even with all of its faults, I think it's the best country in the world. Uh, that's why people are trying to get here at all cost. Um, so supporting the military to me is a natural extension of just basically being proud of where I live and thanking and being grateful for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to allow me to be on a podcast on a Saturday afternoon and basically speak whatever's on my mind, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's indifferent, doesn't matter. And I think too often we as a society take that for granted. Look, I fully support Olympic athletes being able to protest. Do I agree with the protest? Maybe not. Um, do I think that's the right place to do it? No. Do I think that but in the end, we live in a country where that's allowed. If that were, I can name off a few countries, different countries. I'm not sure she'd be alive right now. So and there just seems to be a lack of respect or understanding of the interrelation between that how we got to that point and then what you do with it. And so for me, supporting the military, to me, is it's one of the ultimate. It goes with fire and police and rescue. These are people who are running to places where most people don't want to go, and I have respect for that, and I think we all should have respect. And it doesn't mean I want us to I mean, the last thing I want is combat. I don't want, but it's the strength of our nation. It's kept us out of a lot of problems. It keeps us out of problems. Carry a big stick, but or
Walk softly.
walk softly. Carry a big stick. You know, I don't think people want to necessarily mess with us. Um, Not because we're warmongers. We just defend ourselves better than anybody else, and I that deserves respect, and that's what it means to me. Freedom.
Yeah, it's really nice. We say, the military creates that opportunity because it's one of the things that I've always said, especially if I get in a debate with someone at work, because obviously the military being as diverse as it is, we have people who are Republican, people who are Democratic, people who are Libertarian. who are gay, straight, bi, trans, every aspect, black, white, yellow, purple, green, doesn't matter. We have people from everything in the military. And granted, we all have our general rules. All right, guys, we don't talk about sex, religion, or politics in the office. Deal with it, and we do that. But occasionally, healthy, healthy conversations do come up about these things. And whether it's in the workplace or if it's with civilian friends or if it's with my military friends outside of work. And I always say, if someone's like, oh, why are y'all talking about that? I go, look, we signed an oath to defend your right to believe what you believe. Who the hell am I to go to work every day defending the Constitution and then turn around and say, you can't say that? Yes, you can. I go to work so that you can. You can say and believe whatever you choose to believe. Do I have to agree with it? Absolutely not. Because I go to work so that I don't have to agree with it because I can have my own values and my own beliefs. But that's what makes this country great because we defend that option. So I do agree with you there.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm totally on board with that. Like, growing up in the South, I guess I have my own personal opinions about things, just the way I was raised. But since joining the military, I can tell you my mind has been opened in ways that I never would have thought. You know, Still don't agree with a lot of the things, but when I say open, I mean like, I'm much more accepting. I don't care if you are this. I don't care if you are that. I've been introduced to people, that I would probably have never been friends with in high school or, outside of, my job or something. I mean, prime example, one of my friends, he's a Filipino. He's born and raised in the Philippines. He's a PR as well, for another squadron here in Washington that I'm at. Um, and he always mentions to me, he's like, you know, like he would talk about somebody. He's like, oh yeah, that person's Filipino. And when I sit back and think about it, I'm like, I don't think I ever met a Filipino person until I joined the Navy, and he calls it the Filipino Mafia. It's
It
just
is.
like I've everywhere I go in the Navy, I see at least
Mhm.
like I think there's like at least 10 in my own squadron that I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
You
The
know,
mafia exists, bro.
and it's that's pretty neat to have because where I'm from, small town North Carolina, it's just a lot of gray and not a lot of gray, it's just a lot of black and white, and Hispanics, so but it's cool to have that aspect of it. My mind's been open to a lot of ideas, and I'm just much more accepting of people. So I think that's a good quality to have in life.
Yeah. And that goes to what OG said earlier. If we had mandatory service,
Yeah,
a lot of this bullshit would be gone because they're like, oh well, and I don't want to turn this into a big political discussion. It's not what we do here at Talkcast too much, but there is that aspect of oh well, I don't like you because of this reason, or I don't like you because of this reason. We go to work every day and we're like, look, black, white, purple, brown, gay, straight, bi, I will lay down my life to protect you because you're my brother in arms. Period, brother or sister in arms. And I go to work with that mentality every day. Like, yeah, if there was an active shooter on base, I would probably guard that door and let everybody get out a different door. Like I'd do it. I'd take a bullet for them absolutely because we go to work the exact same way every single day.
but
And
and that's one of the things that the military I love about the military is whatever your code is, the Marines have their code, but you're putting your brothers and sisters who you may have just met is a rare thing these days.
yeah, absolutely. Um and it's just it's something it's an unspoken bond. And even like you said, he's a commander, so obviously, if I didn't know that and he just said, yeah, I'm active duty Navy, it would absolutely be there. Once I know that he's an officer, obviously it changes a little bit. Obviously we're a different command, so it doesn't hold like but if we ever saw each other in uniform, absolutely salute him, give him the due respect as an officer. But yeah, it's absolutely an unspoken bond when you find out someone is prior service or current service. Yeah, it's absolutely there. But with that, OG, I know you do a lot of different charities. I know you change it up every month. um And I believe this month you're doing the Till Valhalla project, correct?
Yeah, starts
Is this
tomorrow.
month's
Starts
beautiful?
tomorrow.
So now what is your inspiration? Because I know you change it every month. So what is your inspiration behind the charities that you do your donations for? And also, like, how do you involve your community in, in the either in those choices, or how do you involve your community in your donations toward them?
So I have been given some great opportunities in my life, and I have been given personally. I've worked my ass off for it, but doors have been open for me that I've taken advantage of, and I would encourage anybody here on the podcast that if somebody opens a door for you, take advantage of it. Do not take that for granted. Bust that door open. Don't gently push it open. Bust that door open and take advantage of every opportunity that's given to you. And I've been fortunate enough to have taken advantage of a lot of opportunities. I'm older, 55 years old, um, and this is the part of my life where I get to give back to um, to whoever I want to give back to, and I have the means. I've worked hard enough to generate the means to do that, and there's always a personal connection in most cases with me and the charities that I support, whether it's cancer for my sister. This month was ending today is the Matthew Shepard Foundation uh, for LBGT um, folks, fully supportive, and it's Pride Month, and so that was I have gay family members. Um, I think they have a struggle nobody understands, and so to help support their cause, it's an easy decision. Tomorrow we'll start the Till Valhalla project. Um, it doesn't really matter the 22 group, the Wounded Warriors. I wanted to support um, a military entity. So it's very easy for me. I watch, I'm 55, but I have a TikTok account, and the videos that get me the most are the homecoming videos of active military coming home and surprising family members, and the 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 love that you can watch through a video of seeing the separation come together. It just, I don't know that I'm a big softy at heart, so it's easy for me to get behind that. I'll also be starting another. Uh, I wouldn't call it a charity, but we're going to do a fundraiser for Juiced this month as well, in connection with the Till Helvala. We're going to get him a new controller somehow, some way by the end of the month. So Juice, don't go buy anything yet. We're going to get you.
Surprise.
We're going to get you taken care of. We'll figure out how we're going to do it, but by August 1st, hopefully
I appreciate it.
we'll have something ordered for you. So, but I get my community involved by hopefully being, um, contagious, infectious with helping out other people. It feels good, man. It feels good. There's too much hate in the world. There's too much toxicity. There's too much. There's too much negativity. And look, I get negative. I get toxic. I get crappy. Drade in chat here sees it every night. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, I'm playing a game online in front of people, um, and we should be here to have fun and build a community. And so, if we can all get together and help each other out, um, that's it's easy. It really is easy, folks. It really is easy. It doesn't take a lot. And so I'm gonna be doing some free giveaways as well for some a product that I actually use that I think other people would like. There'll be more about that later, but this is not the venue for that. Um, but look, it's this is an avenue. Twitch is an avenue for me to give back. I get to do something I love to do. That's play games. My fiance is the absolute best. Gives me 100% of the support. Um, tell you guys. Some of you might have seen the tweet the other day, but she asked me how I was doing in one of my games, and I said, "Oh, I'm sucking. I'm really not doing well." I said, "I need
Do
more
better.
I need no. I said I need more motivation." She goes, "Well, stop embarrassing me.
That was the greatest thing ever. I
Stop
love that
embarrassing
tweet.
me." I'm like,
I
"You
was
are."
laughing so hard when
I'm
I
like,
saw
"You
that
are
tweet.
savage. You are absolutely savage, and you don't even know it."
That's
So,
incredible.
getting people involved in the community, in the charities. We starting after till Valhalla. There's a little bit of a break, and I will poll chat and say, hey, listen, guys, give me some names of some charities that you'd like to support, and we'll put it up on a poll, and then that'll be the charity for the next for the next week, or excuse me, the next month. We do it 30 days in advance.
Nice.
So come on out, help support 100%, 100% of any donation and any subs that comes into my stream goes back out in the form of charity. And I don't mean what I get. I mean 100% of everything. And I know there's a charity thing I can do, which I haven't done yet.
But a lot of people in those positions still don't take advantage of, being in that position and being able to do those things for people. It's incredible that you do that. By the way, Juiced, I don't know if you saw chat there, but Dead Vapors is already. I believe that's why OG's lights were popping. I believe he just came over and followed OG, and he said he's already putting 50 toward your new controller.
Yeah, I freaking love Vapors, man. I play with him a
Awesome.
lot, and
Awesome, dude. That's how we get it
dude,
done.
Vapors,
And,
I appreciate it, homie.
On my own end, I'm gonna put $20 toward that new scuff
Dude, this
controller
is
as well.
oh my god, this is fucking
So-
crazy. Y'all definitely don't know how to do that at all.
So
I'll match Hobbs
once you've got that, so X has got another 20 as well. So there's 90 of it right there. We're looking probably at about $200 to get you a full blown scuff build. Will be probably a $200 goal. So there's 90 of it right there. OG, I'll get with you offline, and X and I, and we'll get our 40 over to you as well.
I appreciate it, man. Y'all really don't have to do that. And
You're
OG,
right, we don't, but we want to.
the community that the stuff that you do for your Twitch community, that stuff is awesome. I mean,
By the way,
I personally,
Trade is in for another 30, so there's 120 of it done.
oh my gosh, dude. Like what, a minute?
Yep.
I appreciate you all. OG, everything you do for the community, outside of Twitch for charities, that stuff is, even though it doesn't directly affect me, it affects the community that I volunteered to be involved in. So that stuff is extremely appreciated. You too, Hobbs. I'm trying to put on a tournament for Warzone, to donate everything to the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. I was gonna do it for July 4th, but some stuff came up, and I just really haven't had time to plan it with my normal squad of people. But that is definitely coming up. So if you're interested in playing a solo Warzone tournament, hit me up.
Don't bring OG in, man. He's the king of solos. Don't mess with him.
I'm the king at dying in solos.
OGZ luck, baby. But yeah, so to bring it back in, but yeah, so we've already got $120 of that raised, and honestly,
I appreciate it.
That goes directly toward what we've been talking about this whole time. It's the camaraderie, it's the brotherhood, it's people looking out for people and being genuine human beings and taking care of each other. So yeah, OG man, what you do with your support of the military and your just generosity in your community is just absolutely incredible. So thank you. As an active duty service member and just a human on this earth, thank you for everything you do, for all the support you give to everybody. I truly appreciate it.
Look, man, it is the least I can do, and we're going to do more and keep doing more. So,
Hell yeah. But yeah, that's all the questions I got for you, brother.
Thank you, man.
I'll kick it back over to you.
Yeah, man. So let's drop down to our the guy who makes all this happen, including Nira. By the way, I want to make a shout out to Nira, 77 in chat. She's put together a great program here with X. She does a lot of stuff that intro is the fashizzle.
That shit was fire.
It really was, man.
Oh, Nira
was fire.
created that.
Nira is terrifying. She is insanely good at that.
So my hat is off to Nira. She makes all of this stuff look easy, and we kind of take that for granted, but there's somebody behind the behind the scenes that is working their butt off to make all this look great and go smoothly. And so, hats off to Nira. Thank you, Nira, for everything that you do. And likewise to X. He's created this venue here. He and Nira have created this venue here for us to talk about gaming and talk about PTSD and talk about any number of different subjects. We I can't wait to see this thing just kind of take off and explode. So, um, but to get back to the topic at hand today, is there a difficult situation that you faced at your job, and related to your experiences, and then that you can talk about, and kind of how you resolved it?
Yeah, so some of my stuff I can't talk about, but the stuff I can talk about, we'll take for example, there was a operation that was going on overseas, um, and one of my primary roles, I worked with Geeks Joint, so it's like a Blue Force tracking for all services combined into one visible map for leaders to make strategic, you know, understanding of like the terrain and everything that's going on. So before an op happened, our main civilian contractors were rolling over into government. So they weren't there, but an operation was kicking off, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the President of the United States needed that data. So I had to lead myself as a junior person at the time, and two other junior airmen in my little section to be able to make sure that that was visible for them to see live during operations, see predator feeds and everything that was going on. So uh, right during that time, we were in the process of an upgrade. So we had to come up with a quick way to bring that up. So we set up a dedicated server so the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the President could be able to view live all that data that was going on while we were still working on the upgrade. So that was, I think that's probably one of the most difficult things that I had to deal with because we had just finished a 16-hour shift, got home, and 30 minutes later we got a phone call that said that we needed to go back, and we worked for 48 hours straight after that for that joint operation.
Isn't that how it always is?
Yeah.
You know,
Do you ever feel like you have a really cool job in the military? Talk to X about the things he can tell you about. You'll feel like you don't do shit. X, from what I know, he, he's kind of a badass.
I just press buttons, man. That's all I do.
Yeah, that's it. Just press buttons, baby.
yeah, yeah. I can tell by that answer that the humbleness there speaks to more. So, so you take a situation like that, you create a solution like you just created in 48 hours. What's your what's your what was your primary job after training, after your MOS?
So it's funny. So my initial into the military, and by the way, I had no IT experience or anything prior to going in. I worked at Victoria's Secret. I was the only guy there, so that was always interesting.
Okay,
Um,
you're a lot smarter than I
Were you
was
the
giving you.
model?
You're a lot smarter than I'm giving you credit for.
yeah,
Hold on.
um,
How did you? Whoa.
uh, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we're talking about that later tonight. That's happening on my stream. Hello, Daddy.
um, so, but my grandfather was prior Air Force. He retired as a chief, and he came to me. He's like, "You don't want to do this job for the rest of your life, do you?" And I was like, "No, nah, probably not." So he said, "Okay, well, emerging technologies are coming out. You probably should go into somewhere that's either IT or combat related IT. You know, somewhere that you can help out in that." I was like, "Okay." So, he spent a lot of time um, just saying like, okay, these are the career fields that you should go into, and from there we kind of came up with three. It was like precision instrument, doing fixes on it and getting in there, communications, and then I can't remember what the other one was. Oh, so me personally growing up, Top Gun obviously was my favorite. I always wanted to be a pilot.
You're welcome,
Yeah,
Navy. Just
yeah,
saying.
yeah. But but at the same time, um, I guess when I went into MEPS, I didn't qualify for it because there's a portion of the testing um, where like I couldn't see a certain thing, so that kind of sucked. So I was like, okay, well that's fine. Like com's easy for me to do, I guess. So a lot of the stuff that I had to learn, right? So the training for my particular career field didn't teach me anything on what I actually did. It just taught me just the basics for it. So all my stuff was self-taught, or I took notes from what other people did and then just found a better process on how to make it work. So then I came up with automation scripts. I came up with being able to stand up a way to mass deploy certain systems automatically. Like if we, like for example, that instance where we needed those servers stood up, I had spent 3 months prior setting something up like that in case if we ever did a live upgrade. So that kind of validated all the stuff that I had been working on. Was, oh yeah, sure, I could spin that up, and within an hour and a half I had 76 servers running ready to go, just like that. So it made a huge kind of difference in terms of being able to do that. um so the only thing I could say is, in the military, yes, you have every opportunity to learn your career or learn your area of expertise. But there's always ways there are always ways to improve it, and then to also continue to grow just professionally.
Do you think, I mean, obviously it sounds like the military provided you with kind of a very broad-based avenue to pick and choose from. Would you encourage somebody who's trying to figure out what to do? And I hear a little bit about this from Juiced, and it more from the social aspect. He was introduced to people he never would have been introduced to. From a career perspective, I mean, would you encourage people to join the military to help them figure out what it is that they want to do? And do you think that it gives people the opportunity to start down one path but have multiple places to you start down one path but you might go left, right, 3 or 4 times? Does the military provide that, or is it a little bit more structured where when you start down that path you got to stay on that path?
So if you start in a career field, um, you can definitely transfer to other career fields as well. There are some career fields that you have to have some qualifications for. So, like for example, some fields require a certain level of like ASVAB score, like initially to go into. That doesn't mean that you can't transfer into it at a later time. So you can join in one career field, kind of study up, kind of learn about that career field, and if they have that slot open, you can apply to that career field, and then you just go back to training, and then you start pretty much all over. Not in terms of your rank, but in terms of your well, okay, so like in the military, we have different levels, right? So you have like the junior folks, then like what Hobbs was talking about, like middle management, and then like you have your like your actual management.
Yeah, your
So
senior leadership and your
yes,
officers.
yeah, so they have different courses inside that career field for those specific MOSs. So like juniors, they'll have to go through a course that in the Air Force we called it like CDC. So it's like tech manuals that we'd have to go through, and then um, like certain fields, and it kind of gives that good basis too, right? Because okay, let's say if you join a company, right? Um, you have those different levels too, right? You could start off as an intern, understanding, learning, that specific career, right? And then if you get hired, right, then you do more remedial training to get you more familiar with the position, and then continued educational growth. Um, so, I mean, it's kind of the same concept in military in terms of corporate America, where you have that structure for training.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, sometimes it does get kind of, I guess, what's the word, monotonous? I don't know how to say it, but that's what it feels like. It's
A little
very,
bit, yeah.
yeah, it's why am I reading a tech manual on Windows XP when we're in like Windows 10 kind of thing? You know what I mean? I mean, the training obviously is more updated.
Redundant
Yeah, I was just
is
giving
a
more
good
just of
word.
an example.
Yeah. But yeah, redundant is definitely a good word for it.
So I'm gonna pivot here and kind of move kind of towards we're kind of wrapping up here, I think, a little bit, but I want to move towards a little bit more personal questions. One is, when was the last time X you shaved your, like, how long has that beard been in production?
So this has been growing since 2015, but I've cut it and trimmed it multiple times. So like when I first got out, I was like, cool, I don't have to shave anymore. This is nice because so I'm Greek and Hawaiian, and so my hair grows really fast and really thick, which sucked. So I had to shave every day, if not twice a day sometimes. I never failed. Um, so after I was like, cool, I don't have to shave anymore. So I got out, got my first contracting job, uh, to go work at Stratcom to do ballistic missile defense on their Unix systems, and I was like, cool, I can grow it out. So I think in Nebraska, I think I had my longest beard ever. It was like halfway down my chest. I was like, okay, this is kind of getting long. I think it's time to just shave it. So I just trimmed it and I'd kept it short. And then when I was working in Arizona on an army contract, I was like, you know what? I think I can finally start growing it out. Like I had it a little short, but I always had the beard. So as time went on, I was just like, you know what? I think it's just time just to kind of grow it out.
Well, it looks good. I'm impressed. So here's a question for all of you guys, and anybody in chat. Actually, I'd be curious to hear, what is the best and worst military food you've ever been served, and why?
So I'm gonna redirect this question to Hobbs and Juice. So you guys want to tell me what your dining facility and food is like?
Okay.
I'm gonna be
So,
honest. So
yeah, you go first, Juice, because I got something to say to X after this.
so
And he knows
Pensacola,
why.
Pensacola, Florida is typically known. That's where all naval aviation is trained at. That's typically known as the best galley in the Navy, probably the entire military besides Air Force. Um, it was
Yeah.
okay. It was okay, but now being here somewhere else and having it here, it's not that good. I'll tell you, the worst stuff I've ever had was in boot camp. We were the last division in our training group. There's probably like 14 or 15 in the training group, and you just basically eat. Um, like for example, I was 414. So 402 would eat first, and then we would always be the last one to eat. So we always got like leftovers or food that wasn't warm, or they typically give you enough to get through the day for each meal. But us being the last training group, there was sometimes just maybe like a piece of chicken and a side. And for us, that side was always fucking couscous. I'm gonna tell you right now, dude. I hate couscous with a passion. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it consists of. Okay. I don't know what it's supposed to taste like, but it always tasted bland. It tastes like cardboard. Like I literally felt like I was eating styrofoam. And eventually you get used to it and you just put ketchup on everything,
Yeah.
and you
Or hot
survive,
sauce.
Or
or
hot
hot sauce.
sauce?
Yeah. And I survived on peanut butter and wheat bread in boot camp. But I'm telling you right now, I still to this day don't know what the fuck couscous is. So
It's carbs.
It's
That's basically it.
couscous is the food so nice they named it twice.
Yes.
yeah,
that's what
I
it
don't
is.
care what it is. I'm not eating it ever again.
It's carbs. No,
Yeah, it's just little
don't get
carbs.
turned off by Navy couscous. Couscous is actually really good if it's prepared well in a real restaurant. I'll tell you that. But yeah, it's something. And the reason X said he'll divert to us first is we have a joke that goes around, and it's a joke, but it's also actually really true. In the Marines, they go to their chow hall. In the Army, they go to the mess hall. In the Navy, we eat in the galley or on the mess decks, and in the Air Force, they go to the country club. Um, we stay
Everything's
in
better
our
than the Air Force.
we live on the ship in our berthings. The Marines and the Army stay in the barracks, and the Air Force stays in 5-star hotels. That's what they do. They are. There is an analogy in the family. The Army was the firstborn child, so they got all the nice equipment and things like that. The Marines were the second-born child of the U.S. government. They get the hand-me-downs from the first child, and then they got remarried, and then they had their own child, which was the Navy. So they gave them kind of nice things, and they let them go kind of do their own thing. The problem was when when Mother U.S. government got remarried. She remarried the really really rich guy, and his son. Yeah, that's the Air Force.
Was
He
the
has all
best
the nice
analogy
fancy
I've
tech
ever heard in
toys.
my life.
It's so
Yeah.
true though.
He has all the tech toys, all the fancy things that came from rich old Uncle Sam there.
If you want to see a prime example, look up Air Force boot camp versus Army, Marines, Navy boot camp. I'm not saying the Navy is the hardest, but compared to the Air Force, my
they have,
God.
but they have the money to back it. They do. It is what it is. But yeah, they have the money to back it. It's really nice. But for me, my worst was definitely on deployment. Um, I got real sick of breakfast rice pretty quickly. So breakfast rice normally happens about a month after your unrep or your underway replenishment when you start running out of all the fancy foods. Right before we get another resupply on the ship. So basically, you'll probably have something like hamburger helper the night before. They'll have leftover ground beef, so they'll put that ground beef on some rice. They'll mix in some powdered egg with it, and you have your meat, your rice, and your egg, and breakfast rice. Ta-da! Um, but I've seen some pretty rough ones because sometimes people just have a really bad day and they don't want to put the effort into it. One of the best foods I ever had from a ship, no joke. We were on a duty weekend, and I had two culinary specialists, two CSs, two cooks. Um, they were brothers actually. They were twin brothers, and they were on the same ship together. They came in on the buddy system thing. They came to the same ship, cooking together. They loved cooking. Like, it was their passion. One of them actually, when he transferred from the first ship, got got orders to go cook for the Undersecretary of Defense at the Pentagon, and they sent him to the Culinary Institute of America in Chicago for his follow-on training. But they loved it so much that they would come in super early on duty weekends, make fresh dough from scratch in the bakery, make fresh ingredients, cut up everything, and they would make us homemade garlic spread crusted flatbread pizzas. And they would make like 40 of them for the duty section because you only had like 100 people on duty. So they could afford to cook significantly smaller portions. And that was really really cool. Like, we came in and we had just done duty all day and drills, and we were hot and nasty, and we came in and it was just a ton of these amazing flatbread pizzas. That was a game changer that day.
Must have been an Air
Um,
Force chef.
probably. I think they went to Air Force Culinary School. But MRE wise, when we've done some relief efforts, I got to partake in some MREs, and I'd say mine, jalapeno cheese, and chili mac. Chili mac, MRE, and the jalapeno cheese and cracker. That's where I'm at with that for the MREs.
So that was your favorite or your least favorite?
Oh, favorite by far. Chili mac. Chili mac is banging, and the or as we all call it, jalapeno and cheese. The jalapeno cheese spread is pretty on point. It actually has decent flavor. It's really good. All right, bougie. Go ahead, X.
So, yeah, Air Force dining facilities are way different than other branches. The Air Force definitely focuses more on the comfort.
That's why. I believe we got X back.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're
Yep,
good to go.
okay,
Brother.
good to go.
Go right ahead.
So yeah, so I think one of the not the worst food, but I definitely saw a difference in between the food that's provided. It's in a forward deployed situation where we went to one of the Marines defects and or dining facilities, and it obviously was different, right? Because like I said, Air Force has a totally different level of food, but it looked like they took the MRE, warmed it up, put it on a piece of cardboard, and was like, "Here you go, this is yours now." So, but now I say that, but that was probably the best food that I've ever tasted, though. I don't know what they added into it, but it was delicious.
Crack.
Yeah, probably.
It's how they keep us motivated.
Yeah, jeez. But some of the instances where I saw Air Force went too crazy was I was living off base at the time, and I drove on base, was gonna get food from the dining facility before I went into work, and they were serving lobster. So I thought it was pretty cool.
All right, selling point number one for the Air Force.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite for us, though, because we do steak and lobster nights on deployment. And those of us that have deployed before know when you hear steak and lobster, run.
Yeah.
I heard
Because
we had that for the Navy's birthday.
well, on shore, it's different. On shore, they will do things like that for special occasions. When you're deployed and they take the time to bring fresh ice cream to do an ice cream social on the mess decks after you have steak and lobster, and you hear, "Good evening, this is the captain," bend over and grab your ankles. You're probably going to have an extended deployment. It's probably getting extended. See, look what Drade said. Every time they gave us lobster and steak, bad news is incoming. If you are deployed and you get steak and lobster, run far, run fast.
Here's a morale boost before we shatter your hopes and dreams.
Yep. And you always be like, "Dude, we're getting steak and lobster." And then you see like all the dudes on the mess decks with their fork and regular knife. And you see all the guys that are deployed whipping out all of their combat knives to start cutting the steak because we know the steak. So we're just K-bars and like an SOG knife just cutting through the steak so it'll cut. Lobster tough as hell and be like, "This is amazing." We're like, "Oh guys, shut up. It's not gonna end well."
Always give
But
good news with bad news.
yeah.
Yep.
One thing I did learn about with military food is SOS. I didn't know what SOS was, which is for
Get on a
anybody, it's yeah, shit on a shingle, baby.
Yep.
And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's corn chip beef on toast, and it's actually not bad. But yeah, shit on the shingle. I learned about that one. That was a good one too. Oh, but yeah, food, military food has its ups and downs for sure. 100%.
Well, with that, X, I will hand it back over to you. I don't know if we have any questions in chat.
So
I think Trade had a question.
yes, he does. So this one's for Hobbs and I. He said, "So we're all old timers and develop bad habits like smoking and dipping from our years in and being deployed. Now I can see we all vape." He said he wants to see how long we can take to quit. And Hobbs, what do you say to that?
$5,000 dono.
Oh God.
$5,000 dono, and that'll give me all the alcohol I need to not vape.
Yeah.
I used to vape and then I lost mine, and I mean, maybe I'm just weird, but I've never really smoked cigarettes. But pre-military
Yeah.
life, I may or may not have smoked a little bit of that weed, you know.
Yeah.
But like when I lost my vape, I was like, for a whole day, I was like, you know what? I really want to hit my vape. And then now I'm just like, I don't even notice it. I mean, I do now that somebody has mentioned it, but to me, vaping wasn't like I need it for the nicotine. I mean, maybe I'm just weird. It's me because I have a lot of energy, you know. I
It's
do
just
it for
something to
the.
do.
It's just something to do, you know. And I'll sit there and chain smoke. I'll be like, and then I'll sit it down for like 5 hours. You know, I'm just
Yeah. See, for me, I smoke cigarettes because I worked in, like I said, I worked in bars, nightclubs, restaurants, most of my life. So smoking is something I did for a lot of years, and then obviously joining the military, smoke even more. Um, but when I started vaping at a really high nic level, and I'm down to zero point 0.3, basically the lowest you can get without it being zero, just for a little bit of a ease off stress relief from time to time. But for me, I find it's the habit of doing it. But switching from smoking to vaping, this is not in any way a plug. Twitch, don't ban us. It's not self harm, I promise. But I have noticed a positive change, at least in like being able to breathe better and work out more, getting off of cigarettes and vaping. But I've been vaping for about 5 years now. And so at this point, to me, it's just something it's kind of like second nature. It's just something I do. I do it more obviously when I'm playing games and stressing out. Like I'll take a hit or two between rounds of playing. But honestly, when I'm at work, I maybe go out and vape maybe 2 to 3 times a day. Take a little like 10-minute break, and it's nice to just kind of clear my head, get out of the office for a little bit. Just vape a little bit, and then come back.
I think it's just more of just a habit. I
Yeah.
know sometimes I'll do it. Well, I mean, obviously you guys see me do it now. I usually do it like when I'm like stressed. And again, that's just my anxiety that takes over. So it's just a habit to
Yeah.
kind of help. Because normally, like if I'm
My
stressed,
comfort blanket.
yeah, I'll either fidget or I usually have like a rubber band around my wrist that goes up to my finger, and then I usually just play with a rubber band. So
We got any other questions?
let me see. I think that was the only one. So I'm gonna open up the floor to chat one more time, just to see if there's any more questions out there. Um, and then if not, I just want to thank you guys for partaking in today. I know today was a little bit longer than our normal, but I definitely appreciate you guys all opening up, talking about some personal experiences, and just being the awesome people that you guys are.
I appreciate you having us on, man. This was a really fantastic topic. Just something that I feel like doesn't really get addressed enough. So it was really nice to get a lot of different perspectives. Civilian who absolutely supports and has been around and seen so many things as a prior first responder. Works with so many charities. Juice being very much junior in the military, getting his experiences. X as a veteran, myself kind of in between there. It was really awesome to talk with you guys today, and had a lot of fun. So thank you,
yeah.
Juice. Thank you, OG.
We had some good perspectives from all angles. That was nice.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree. And the fact that we're gonna get you thanks to OG your awesome scuff controller, so that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for that. Y'all
Yeah,
have no idea how
Juice is
much that
getting a
means
new
to me.
controller, baby.
Yeah, Nira, if you can help coordinate, I don't have all of the folks in chat, but if you could help coordinate some of that, figure out a way, and Juice will probably, I'm going to hit you up for like a Venmo or Cash App, whatever you got. I looked on your thing. Since Twitch takes up donos, I mean
Oops.
subs, we want to do this direct. So
Yeah, we'll do everything straight through. But we've actually been sending them over to your channel.
oh,
Um,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
we've been sending them over, so they've either been following or they may have already donated. But yeah, so those will be coming your way, and my donation will be coming your way as well, and then we'll get all that together, and we'll send that money over to you, Juice, and get you that new
Appreciate
controller,
it.
buddy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, with that, I don't see any other questions in chat. So before I close, I just want to, one more time thank our guests and our host for coming on today. We would all be there to be that listening piece. So thank you
Yeah,
again, everyone
absolutely.
that's in chat that put their questions and insights. And again, you guys aren't alone in any of the struggles that you guys are going with. You guys can hit us up on Discord, Twitter, Twitch, however, anytime. Any of us will or respond back to you guys. So don't, like I said, don't ever feel that you're alone. There's always someone here to help you through it. So
Absolutely.
with that, I hope everyone has a great and safe 4th of July, great and safe weekend, and we will see you guys back here soon. And until then, take care and yep,
You guys,
stay good.
Happy 4th, everybody.
Happy 4th.
happy 4th
Adios,
of July, everybody.
amigos.